Good. All right, I'm back. I went to the 7-Eleven, got myself a nice big bancho coffee, and I just needed like I tend not to get around a lot, like in the sense of like someone for my age, like I should be moving around and doing tons of shit, but I don't. So going down to the gas station's a nice walk. I'm already talking like an old man, I guess. But yeah, I don't mind it. We need to go. Hold on, let me set up everything.
This new player experience.
We were watching, listening to a fella talk about playing all the new popular MMOs and stuff. That's what it was. That's the background environment. You're listening to me listening to something. That's background extravaganza. Welcome to the ADD Club. That's where it's at. Ooh, it's so hot I can't even taste it. That's coffee for you. Delicious.
Remember 14 seconds ago when I said MMORPGs are extremely complex? Well, they are. To longtime players, this complexity is the best part because it means hundreds of hours of content that usually reward you for your time investment. But that means playing an MMO for the first time can feel like going to a friend's house who really loves board games and they plot a game with a full novel for an instruction manual, and then they say, "Don't worry, it's simple, let me explain." But it's literally more complicated than advanced calculus. Is this even calculus? I don't know. I'm the president of MMORPGs, not math. So I wanted to put my instinct about new player experiences to the test. To do this, I created fresh characters on 3 MMORPGs. Old School RuneScape, World of Warcraft Retail, and Final Fantasy XIV, all of which I have varying degrees of experience with. I've played a ton of Old School RuneScape, and I've dipped my toes into WoW Classic, but never Retail. And for Final Fantasy XIV, I will be completely blind. I've never even watched someone play it. I'll be looking at each of these games in 3 key stages of new player experience to see how new player friendly they are. And this should hopefully help me find out if MMOs are as much of a walled garden as they seem. Before we do that though, let me make one thing very clear. I am not reviewing these MMORPGs. I'm not trying to invest tens or hundreds of hours to figure out which MMORPG is best. I'm only looking at the first handful of hours that a new player will experience before deciding if they'll invest all that time. So when I inevitably say something bad about your favorite MMORPG, just remember, I'm bald. Use that as ammunition to really hurt me when you leave a comment. If you wanted to design the next great MMORPG, you'd need to learn a few things first. Like, I don't know, game development? Southern New Hampshire University. Today's sponsor. She has one of the largest online accredited degree offerings in the entire country. First impressions are extremely important in video games. In a day and age where people like me can't get through a movie without Subway Surfers playing to the side, it's crucial that the character creation, opening cutscene, menus are all easy, intuitive, and engaging. If it's even a little difficult or annoying to get through these steps, there's a really good chance you're going to lose a new player. World of Warcraft is pretty straightforward. You need to use the Battle.net launcher to run all of their games, which can be annoying, but there's very little friction in signing up and launching the game. On your first launch, you get a pretty badass opening cutscene of a battle between the Horde and the Alliance. It feels like this cutscene is really geared towards veteran players since I don't know who any of these people are. Who's that this lady?
Who is this lady?
She's mommy. But I get the feeling
she's mommy.
don't like each other, and that's all that really matters, I guess. After that, you're free to create a character. Hold on. Does that say Dragonflight? The opening cutscene said Battle for Azeroth. Okay, that's a little confusing, but since Dragonflight is the latest expansion and it says Dragonflight in the corner, I guess I'll be playing Dragonflight. WoW has always been known for its many races and classes to choose from, and I gotta say, it's pretty cool to see all the options here. Coming from a game like Old School RuneScape, which is literally the opposite, it's an interesting mechanic to be faced with an important decision right off the bat. I mean, look at this. You could be an undead mage, a dwarf paladin, a panda. Yeah, okay, yeah, you could be a Monk, why not? All of these classes have little blurbs about them that only go into broad detail about the classes. I think this is a good thing since when you're brand new, getting flooded with minutia will usually only confuse you more. I can't tell if it's overwhelming or exciting to have all of this choice so early on, but I think I lean towards exciting. The cool thing about World of Warcraft is you don't need to pay anything extra to create new characters, so you'll have time to explore all of these different classes if that's what you want to do. So the choice isn't quite as important as it might seem. Character customization is pretty straightforward and simple. You have a few options, but not too many. It's fine. Overall, World of Warcraft leaves a pretty good first impression. A cool cutscene, decent character creation, I'm in. Old school RuneScape's first impression is a little different. For any new player to RuneScape, the first step is figuring out how to get to which version you want to play. With World of Warcraft and World of Warcraft Classic, they're both in the Battle.net launcher, so it's a little bit easier to get to them. But Old School RuneScape and RuneScape are using completely separate launchers. Old School RuneScape's probably a big enough name at this point where this isn't really an issue, but I just thought it was worth mentioning. To give myself as authentic of a new player experience as possible, I will be playing on the official Jagex client and not RuneLite. But since I'm trying to gauge how the game developers curate new player experiences, using Jagex's client just feels right. After launching the game, I'm shot straight into character creation. No opening cutscene, no other frills, just straight into name selection. You know what? I'm not mad about it. So what if RuneScape doesn't give me a mommy? It doesn't need one. We will eventually be given a mommy though. Anyway, the lack of opening cutscene or story introduction actually works really well in RuneScape's case. Old School doesn't have an overarching story narrative that dominates the world. It's made up of a lot of smaller stories that run concurrently with each other. There's no narrative to be caught up on or introduced because that will happen naturally as you play. It's really the difference between RuneScape's constant update model and WoW's expansion model. As you start to come up with your name, you'll be introduced to arguably Old School RuneScape's best feature, the music.
I think like you almost get indoctrinated into the music because you play it so much.
Is honestly pretty damn good, especially considering it really hasn't changed since like 2004. Is it anything super special? No, but you get enough option to make your character look however you want. What really stands out to me about RuneScape's first impression is the simplicity of it. There's really no bells and whistles, it's just straight into the game. And this simplicity is actually a good thing in my opinion. The game at its core is really simple, and I think that is a pretty big appeal for new players. It'd be weird if there was this flashy opening cutscene and crazy.
Also, RuneScape's like really well known. Well, I guess WoW's
really
too.
Like that. Final Fantasy XIV, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. I created my Square Enix account and launched the game, and the first thing you do is choose a data center, which is basically just a server your character will be on. It doesn't give you a recommended server based on population, ping, or any other criteria, so when I saw the list, I was a little intimidated. But after very bravely selecting a server, a 4.5-minute cutscene started that talked about the destruction of the entire world. With all the knowledge I could ever need about the history of Final Fantasy XIV, it was time to create my character, and boy oh boy, is there a lot you can do here. It walks you through the creation in steps, starting with race. You can be pretty much anything in Final Fantasy XIV. Whoa. You can be a human, an elf, a child?
When I play Final Fantasy, I play as a little boy.
You want to hang out or you want to... After picking your race and even picking what animations your character is doing, you can finally customize your character's look, and they let you change everything.
Be careful.
You're gonna tell me a story?
Look at all of these options. It's crazy, and I'm not complaining.
Have a good
More
one.
customization is almost always a good thing. I mean, you can even customize the character's voice. This is by far one of the most involved character creations I've seen in an MMO. I mean, it's one of the most involved character creations I've seen in any game. And it really just means you'll never...
To be honest, I've been thinking about Final Fantasy myself.
That's pretty neat. So
WoW's been taking up my time, but Final Fantasy will be around. Well, maybe. I don't know.
Birthday. This has no impact on gameplay. Okay, I'll just pick a random day then. Well, now we can get into the... Select your patron deity. This has no effect on gameplay. I'll just go with the first one then. Thanks. Okay, well, now we can finally get into the starting list. What the fuck? Oh, wait, nope. This one's actually important. After finally solidifying every last detail about my character, it was finally time to immerse myself in the game. And what way should any MMO start if not with a...
Oh, if he's getting to that point where it's like
Tutorials are a huge
it's
important part of the
hot
player
but like
experience.
warm,
Not only is the tutorial going
but
to
cool
give you
enough to drink, so
information about
you
the
get that like
core
nice.
game mechanics, but the way this information is presented
nice.
can make or break whether a
See
new
you
player
later.
decides to stick around. A bad tutorial
supply
can
only the
legitimately be
finest
worse
goods.
than no tutorial at
See you
all.
around.
It can bore,
For the
confuse,
Alliance.
irritate new players, and just
See you
drive
later.
them away completely. Especially because the amount of time you have to hook a new player is extremely short, so you better not waste any time. World of Warcraft and old school RuneScape opt to place new players in instance tutorials. These are areas specifically designed as tutorials that you can't go back to after completing them. Final Fantasy XIV, on the other hand, just plops you right into a starting town where you're surrounded by players both old and new. Listen, I love Tutorial Island, and I always will, but there's a reason it got replaced like 20 times in RuneScape 3. Tutorial Island walks you through some of the basics of skilling, combat, prayer, some pretty crucial information for new players, and I have no issue with what it teaches you, but more so with how it teaches you. The entirety of Tutorial Island is just following arrows, clicking on blinking icons, and optionally reading a bunch of text dumps. It just feels like a chore you need to get done, and that's only hammered home by the fact that Jagex literally puts
I
a
can't do
percent
that yet.
done meter at the bottom of the screen that just is there the entire time. It really makes you feel like you're just really trying to speed through this to get to the
Too
main
far
game.
away.
I just think the whole tutorial could be done a little bit better if it was formatted as a quest. That way
Get
you can
stabbed.
not only explore game mechanics through the tutorial, but also learn about questing. Because quests in RuneScape are pretty different than quests in other MMORPGs. Plus, right now, the way you learn about quests is through a guy just telling you about them, which is kind of lame. But at the same time, if Tutorial Island ever changed, the old school RuneScape player base would literally riot, so maybe we don't touch it. World of Warcraft starts you on a boat where you briefly learn about combat before getting shipwrecked on Exile's Reach. Exile's Reach is an island where the tutorial will be taking place, but it is not Tutorial Island. It's Exile's Reach. It's different.
See, I swear, why isn't it selecting my guy anymore? What?
It's very hand-holdy, and I just have to mindlessly click on whatever some arrows are pointing to. It also loves to repeat instructions that it.
Oh my god, do I have to do this shit all over again?
New ability? Let me drag that onto my
There's a
hotbar.
help
Oh,
section, I
what's that?
think.
Another new ability. Let me drag that onto my hotbar. Oh, what's that? Another new ability. Let me drag that onto my hotbar. The tutorial is formatted as a bunch of quests that you have to complete, which I enjoy because it gives you tangible milestones to hit throughout. The first thing it has me do is just kill some murlocs to find supplies, which is a very generic MMO
Guess
quest
it's not a big
format.
deal, I just gotta remember.
What's that murloc doing? God, I
This-
want to hear what he's playing. Woo! Progressing
Sure
through
there's
the
a way to do
tutorial,
it,
I
but-
learn more about combat, and eventually I learn a little bit more about combat. I don't know why Blizzard thought I needed multiple sparring sessions to understand how combat works, but thanks, I guess. The cool thing about Exile's Reach is there's side quests all throughout the island. These side quests are totally optional, but it makes it feel like a little bit more than just a tutorial section. There's one side quest where you have to kill this big-ass bear, and you actually have to take the fight kind of seriously. This fight is way better than the combat tutorials because it doesn't tell you what abilities to use. You have to make decisions and kite and do damage at the right times. It's the best part of the tutorial, and it's not even required. The main questline is a bit more straightforward. It has you do normal MMO stuff like killing X number of mobs, collecting X number of items, or mounting an aerial assault on an army of ogres while loosely tethered to a helicopter constructed by a goblin. You know, normal stuff. The tutorial ends on a high note by introducing you to a staple of World of Warcraft, dungeons. It walks you through the group finder and then you embark on a very small dungeon with 2 NPCs and 1 other player. I got matched up with a druid who clearly was more experienced than me. He kept rushing ahead to speed through the dungeon and we didn't say a single word to each other.
These rock guys.
So in other words, it was perfect. This dungeon is seriously such a cool way to cap off the tutorial. Not only does it make the story you played through feel a little bit more impactful, but it teaches you about one of the really important mechanics in WoW. No one wants to just read about how to go through a dungeon. They want to play through it, experience it in a safe, low-stakes environment, and that's what this is. Final Fantasy XIV takes the most unique approach of the 3 games by deciding to
of
copy
range.
the Skyrim opening cutscene.
You finally awake.
Okay, I mean, they did make it a little different. On a real real note though, the time from when I created my character to when I actually got to control my character was over 11 and a half minutes. And this is what happened when I finally did get control. Wow. Really, man? Can I just... I mean, it's just cutscene after cutscene with this game. My God. The whiplash I got from playing RuneScape, where cutscenes are rarer than a comment not accusing me of copying Jimmy, to this, where it's just 20 minutes of straight cutscenes to start, was wild. When you get full control and freedom with your character, you'll be starting on a sort of tutorial quest line. This lady, Mother Mione... Wait a second, this game gives me a mommy too. Anyway, back to
It's too far away.
Back to mommy. She gave me the tutorial quest line that required me to do 3 pretty simple tasks. But first she made fun of my name. Wait, what the fuck did I do to you? It also really feels like these main in-game cutscenes should have voice acting, but they don't, so it's just kind of silent. Like I said before, this tutorial doesn't take place in a new player-only zone. You'll be surrounded by both new and veteran players, which I really like. As far as I'm concerned, the faster you can get a new player into the main game world, the better. And having experienced players who might be able to offer help to new players could be a really great experience for those new players.
For those new players.
Interaction I got to have with a player who also happened to be new. You can tell because they have a little leaf icon next to their name. Person. Can I wave/wave? I can wave! And they wave to me! What the fuck are they doing? What the hell is all this? Stop that. Stop. No. Stop doing that. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Damn, that's impressive that you knew how to emote just like that. You must be so smart. But that's where you're wrong. Luckily for me, there's a quest that teaches you how to emote by dancing in front of this sad girl whose parents just died. So, remember how I criticized the OSRS tutorial for having too many text dumps you had to read through to learn about some mechanics? Well, that's all Final Fantasy is. It's just text dump after text dump after text dump. I mean, holy cow! And being a normal human being, I skipped through all of that. Maybe I'm not the best person to be reviewing new player experience. This meant I had no idea that equipment like armor and weapons goes to a completely different inventory than your normal inventory. I turned in a quest and I got a brand new pair of pants, which I just couldn't wait to equip, but my little caveman brain just couldn't figure out where it went. For the record, you have to press Control-I to open the secret equipment inventory. You're welcome. Text dumps are unfortunately how you also learn about one of the coolest mechanics in Final Fantasy XIV. Despite having to pick a starting class in character creation, you aren't locked into that class for the entirety of your character like in World of Warcraft. You can train literally anything. Your abilities and skills are going to be based off of what you have equipped, and that's awesome. It's like the way RuneScape works, but on cocaine. It's such a cool mechanic, but I didn't love just reading.
I think 4 or 11 was like that. 11 was like that too.
Rewards me with a new weapon and then presents me with a challenge.
I think game mechanics are like that in general.
Set of skills than my starting class, so I can tangibly see how this mechanic works and have fun playing with it. Because you know, it's a game. I wanna play the game. But as long as I'm playing Final Fantasy XIV, I guess I'm gonna have to learn how to read. So. Kind of sucks. You follow this tutorial quest line and get fed little chunks of information from time to time, but you can really do whatever you want in the game at this point. There's no solid introduction to combat, but you get the hang of it just from doing some side quests around town. One thing I'll say though is that I found this town extremely confusing. The map in Final Fantasy XIV is broken up into sections and you go from one to the other and there's little loading screens. When you look at the map of the town in game, it has these like long corridors, and for some reason I could not wrap my head around traversing this area. The map interface in World of Warcraft was great because it had the quest log built in next to the map with very clear labels for quests. My aforementioned tiny caveman brain had so much trouble figuring out the labels and areas in Final Fantasy XIV. I swear I spent half my time questing just looking at the map. Since Final Fantasy XIV doesn't really have like a hard end to its tutorial, I'm just gonna go into the next section. I don't have a transition. First steps is what I'm calling the section of the game that happens right after the tutorial. How does the tutorial section prepare you for the main game? Are you still guided by some sort of mechanic, or have the game developers just left you entirely to fend for yourself in this whole new world? I've already talked about how Final Fantasy XIV doesn't have a tutorial with a hard end, but it does have a way of easing you into the rest of the game. Achievements. After playing the game for only a little bit, you'll naturally unlock at least one achievement, which at least for me had me interested in what else I could achieve. I found the achievements page and it was full of things to do, ranging from way out of my level range to extremely obtainable goals. And I think it's great for me as a new player to see things that are in the near term and long term. Like when you walk around RuneScape for the first time and you see someone with a skill cape and you find out that you can get 99 in some skills. It's not something you're gonna do anytime soon, but it's just cool to see what could become of your character. The normal life cycle of an MMORPG once you finish a tutorial is to do every single quest you can until you need to grind to do more quests, and that's usually a fine progression. Having this achievement system to give me a motivator outside of just trying to make all the exclamation marks over people's heads go away, it's just really cool. Plus, I am a man-child, so a little pop-up congratulating me makes me feel pretty good. But here's the best part. Sorry, I'm yelling and I'm standing because I'm excited now. The game will even give you this little pop-up over here that tells you about achievements that you're close to completing, so you're always motivated about something near term, and that's just a great idea. Good. Listen, I just had coffee. I'm sorry. Once you start exploring the world of Final Fantasy XIV, you'll just naturally run into new mechanics like Fates, which are basically mini world events that you get rewarded for completing based on how much work you put in. Fates and other world mechanics that I'm sure I haven't discovered yet are the perfect example of not everything needing to be explained in a tutorial. The feeling of running randomly into a Fate and trying to figure out what it was awesome, because the stakes on this particular one were low, and it gave me a chance to learn the mechanics of it by playing through it. It made the world feel alive, and it made me feel like I was discovering it. But this is also what makes designing a good tutorial so hard. You want to cover everything a player needs to know, but you don't want to spoil the whole adventure. And on top of that, you have to make it interesting. Basically what I'm saying is, if any game developers are watching this, I don't envy you. You're doing great. Keep it up. The main quest storyline will also introduce you to some other mechanics, like these instant fights with level syncing. This means you can't just side quest your way to max level and then one-shot the entire main storyline. It'll bring you back down to whatever level it was designed for. Wait a minute. There's voice acting now? What the fuck? What? Why is there voice acting all of a sudden? Final Fantasy XIV is kind of weird to look back on in retrospect, because there's literally so much depth to this game, but there's not really a whole lot of time invested in teaching you about that depth. I really don't think it's reasonable to expect any new player to just read a bunch of text and memorize it like it's some sort of...
Yeah, that part, the memorizing part, you could read it all, but can you remember it?
Decent sort of tutorial, but the ease at which you can go off-road from that quest line, both intentionally and unintentionally in my case, means you can get lost in the deep end pretty quickly. But at least Final Fantasy XIV is one cohesive experience. Unlike World of Warcraft, I have never been more confused than I was after finishing the World of Warcraft tutorial.
See you around.
I, a Blood Elf mage,
Have
was
a good one.
immediately brought to the capital of the Horde and put in front of Sylvanas, aka Mommy from earlier. You might remember her for, you know. I was sent on a diplomatic mission to recruit this nation of pyramid people to the Horde's cause, and I was deemed the champion of the Horde? What? Me? The champion of the Horde? I just got here. Literally 5 minutes ago, I was leaving an island where the only thing they referred to me as was recruit. So all of a sudden, I went from a low-ranking nobody to instantly one of the most important people in a war I know nothing about. You remember when I got confused about which expansion I was playing earlier when it said Dragonflight in the corner but played the Battle for Azeroth cutscene? Well, it turns out I'm playing through Battle for Azeroth, and that's a shame because I paid for the Dragonflight expansion after someone told me it would be the best experience for new players. So naturally, I thought maybe I picked the wrong option somewhere along the way, and I made a new character, a human rogue. This time, I had the choice of going back to Exile's Reach or going to the human starting zone, Elwyn Forest. I assumed by choosing Elwyn Forest as my starting zone instead of the tutorial, I would be in Dragonflight, and that's where I had gone wrong before. But no. I don't know for sure since I don't really know anything about the World of Warcraft expansions, but I'm pretty sure I was put back into Cataclysm, which is not the most recent expansion. So basically, I'm really fucking confused. I think at this point, it just makes sense to press forward though, and make another character and go back to Exile's Reach since I really didn't like the mage anyways. This time, after the tutorial, I'm not told I'm the champion of the Horde. I'm actually the champion of the Alliance. So, making 3 characters Anyway, it turns out you have to play through Battle for Azeroth if you're a brand new player, no matter what. But that's okay, because it was made clear to me. Nowhere. This got me started on a whole series of quests that basically played out as a single-player RPG, removing me from all other players entirely right off the bat. In these quests, I have to do a lot of different stuff, like escaping from prison, escorting this drunk guy, kidnapping kids. Wait, that can't be right. Oh my god. Listen, I can excuse kidnapping kids, but an escort quest this early into the game should be illegal. This whole experience is such a mess, though. Narratively, I get whiplash since the tutorial and the main game could not possibly feel more separate from each other. I get that not everyone plays these games for the story, but a cohesive story, or at least one that ramps up a little better than this, lends itself to cohesive gameplay. I'm not doing any starter quests that ease me into the more advanced mechanics or harder fights than I would have faced in the tutorial. When I get to the mainland, I'm thrust into high-stakes instance quests that follow the story of something I know nothing about. Oh, wait, no, actually, there was this one quest to learn about how to use the microtransaction shop. So that was a starter quest. I've really never felt so disjointed going from a tutorial to a main game experience before. Yeah, I mean, I've had moments where I don't know what to do after a tutorial. Like when I was a kid playing RuneScape for the first time, and after I got plopped into the mainland, I was just told to play. The RuneScape tutorial section would hold your hand every step of the way, and then like a dad teaching their young child to ride a bike would just let you go, and if you were going to crash and burn, you were going to crash and burn.
Sorry, I gotta adjust my mic.
But in 2022, Jagex changed all of that with a new update called Adventure Paths. This was their earnest attempt to make the new player experience as smooth as possible. But did it work? I don't know. Never tried them. So let's find out. I'm not a new player to old school RuneScape at all, but I will do my best to put myself in the shoes of somebody who's never touched old school RuneScape. I'm not a virgin. I'm not a virgin. I'm not a virgin. Adventure paths are introduced to you right after hitting the mainland if you said you were a brand new player back on Tutorial Island. My man Adventurer John with very normal facial hair will introduce you to two paths, Gatherer and Combat. And I have to say, this is awesome. I thought Adventure Paths were just going to be a list of quests.
Yeah, I
that
can
you
play
should do
better.
or something
That's
of that
true.
nature. That's probably because I thought Adventure Paths was the same thing as the Activity Advisor, this little orb next to the minimap that if you click on it is very much just a list of quests. But no, it's actually completely different. Adventure paths are much more involved and have a reward system, so you have a real motivation to go for these goals. The rewards won't progress your account much faster than if you ignore them completely, but that's not really the point. They show you what the upgrade path for items is. They teach you the basics of training combat better than Tutorial Island does, and it really sets a new player up with the fundamentals as they find the groove of gameplay. Like getting 5 attack on a new character is a pretty simple, normal thing to do. But when I get to go claim a steel longsword, which is a pretty great upgrade this early on, it really adds new motivation and it makes me want to keep playing. And I'm saying this as a veteran, I genuinely felt excited. Also, when you complete a path, you get this fun pop-up, just like when you get an achievement in Final Fantasy XIV, and let's just say, I was a fan. Adventure paths don't really continue much beyond the Gatherer and Combat paths, but I would like to see them extended to the main game and maybe to incorporate doing some quests. I think it's one of the best new player mechanics Jagex has ever come up with. Basically, I give them 10 out of 10 idle points, which I've decided we're doing now, I guess. Adventure paths are just a really great way of smoothing out that experience from tutorial to main game. They remove that moment of now what that can be present with so many people when you're just plopped into this massive world that has been growing for 5, 10, 15, 20 years in the case of a lot of these MMOs now. And it's a part of the new player experience that I feel is the most often overlooked. It's a moment that leads so many players to just close the game from decision paralysis or boredom, and they'll never reopen it. MMORPGs have the highest barrier to entry of any video game genre. That means this genre needs to work harder than any of the other genres to convince these players it's worth the time investment. And the truth is, for World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, and even old school RuneScape, if I wasn't making a video about the new player experiences, there were moments in all of them where I probably wouldn't have kept playing. But explaining the fundamentals in an entertaining way and using systems like adventure paths to get players into the core gameplay groove is a great way to get those players investing the first 10, 20, 50 hours before we finally have our hooks in them and they become forever addicted to this genre, and then they can join our cult and finally understand why we're so mentally ill.
Get him, boomers! Get him, Triz! Light him up! Get him! Yes. Yes. Actually, they're pretty savage. My gang here, dude. My posse.
I feel like everybody.
They don't stick around though.
Expansion there. So let's watch this.
You can't get more fantasy than dragons. And
I think one wall in it. I think fourth wall in it, one time is enough. We don't need to hear Asmongold listen to a video and then hear his take. Give me. See if I can find something. Okay, California Belt. Try this. I always like it, dude. They always got little tidbits of information and stuff. Nice little. I catch some of it. Can't give you any now because I have a crap brain, but you know, my brain will kick in once in a while. I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that. You know, see how it works.
Good evening and welcome to QI, where tonight we've gone rogue and we'll be ripping up the walls of this rowdy, rough-hewn rabble. Right, ruffian, just go! It's Olga Koch. Reckless reprobate Bill Bailey. Hello, ruddy rapscallion Alan Davis. Their ringtones relate to some right rascals of rare renown. Olga's got Russian. There we go. Jack's got a rubber.
They say the great train robbery, he was the mastermind.
I'm enjoying these ones. Bill's got a Robert. And Alan goes. Right, here are some words from the reign of Elizabeth I. What do you think that they mean?
Number two's Bill.
Top tricks, Dad. How dare you?
Hedge Priest sounds like a 70s rock band, doesn't it?
I like the idea of a hedge priest.
Yeah.
Just jumps out. Want a bit of absolution? Bit of absolution? You want a bit of absolution? And cider. Cider, absolution.
You're not far off, actually.
Really?
Weirdly, I know. It's
Oh.
quite close to the truth. Any idea all those words?
Oh, I've seen all of them on Grindr.
Yes.
Which one is Grindr, darling? Is
The
that
gay one.
Oh, right. I don't know. It's a dating app.
I mean, dating.
Dating.
Oh, really?
Yes, I don't think dating.
Oh, really?
I don't think it's like, would you like to go take a turn around
Yes.
the park?
Yes.
No. Are you saying they are kind of wrong-uns?
Yes.
Are they rascals?
It's a collective of Tudor rogues,
Ah.
is the thing. So they were recorded by a marvelous man called Robert Greene. He wrote a book called A Notable Discovery of Cousinage.
Ooh.
Yes, and it kicked off an absolute craze of people having guides to beggars and other sort of vagabonds. It became known as rogue literature. And we don't really know why it was called cousinage, but cousin seemed to be a word for a robber.
A rascal. So somebody's trying to elicit money from you. From that.
Yeah, so let's go back to the list and have a quick look, now you mentioned hedge priest. So medieval priests were paid by tithes, but supposing you couldn't afford to pay the priest, this way you could turn into a richer salaries that you might want as well to marry. What I like is that two devils, two part, and a couple could separate if they just stood over a dead animal in the road.
Step lightly over this badger, and all will be well.
Yeah, exactly that.
I think if I was a trickster, though, I'd pick a more subtle name than counterfeit crank.
What do you think a counterfeit crank might do?
A crank starts the engine, doesn't it?
Yeah, they didn't have engines, so I'm gonna. Yeah, no engines, so no.
Crank like cranky.
That's still
like doing
recharging.
crimes what he's not happy about.
Well, he's not happy. So it's somebody who pretends that they've got something wrong. Clapper dungeon, and they use this very unpleasant, create superficial wounds by rubbing a mix of lime and soda and iron rust, and it causes blisters and sores. So that you to trick people. The other way of tricking them, of course, was to cut the festering arm or leg off a corpse, perhaps from a handy gibbet, and then pretend it was yours.
Just sort of have it stuck to your.
Well, you could lie on the ground with a blanket and stick the nasty.
And to what end, Sandy, would you do?
To get people to give you
money.
Feel sorry.
I'm dying at one limb at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd have to remember to not just pick it up with your good hand as well. Like, oh, thank you.
Can you put it right into the hand? What else? Come on, Jack, you pick one.
Well, nips and foists sound like something a plumber would overcharge you to fix.
Yeah.
Oh, that's your nips and foists, right?
Yeah. Well, that's going to set you back a bit. All right,
Yes.
Nip.
Yeah.
£40 a nip, isn't it? Really?
Nips and foists, names for pickpockets. So a nip used a knife to cut open a purse and to catch the contents, and a foist dips their hand into it.
Surely that's a cut purse.
There's another name for it. Perhaps a very famous play called Mongol Cutters. We've got left crossbite. I mean,
That's been a lot.
pretending to be a vampire.
Yeah, they hate Jesus. They're like, oh, let's get rid of this.
It was a common con. People who pretended to be vampires and hate Jesus. No, so it's rogue, obviously. Poses as a prostitute's drunken husband.
Oh, that'll.
Burst into the room. What are you doing?
Oh no, it's the prostitute.
Yeah.
The sex worker's husband.
Sorry. Yeah, we're due to time, darling. Prostitute's absolutely fine. And the last one is Bear Top Trickster.
Bear top trickster.
Someone without a hat.
Someone who does some sort of, again, like a
Nipple lap.
nipple.
What are you doing?
I mean, somebody with their top off
Yes.
doing tricks.
Juggling.
Juggling. Hey.
It's like, look here, and then his partner goes and does the mouth.
Yes, it is exactly right.
I need
Yes, so a woman would flash a bear top.
Oh,
and
no.
possibly lure a man into a house, and then the gang of men would do robbing of his house.
Really?
Yes.
But how long is that going to bamboozle a man, though? I mean, how much bamboozlement is there in? Hey, I mean, an hour, just keep going. That's great. Or
I
just a
think-
couple of, 10
I think
seconds.
you'd be surprised how easy some men are, darling.
What do you mean?
Moving on. There's quite a lot of these. Dummerers were beggars, this is bizarre, who pretended to have had their tongues cut out while they were abroad because they had been disrespectful of Muhammad. They do not know how they explained this to people.
No.
Laminated card. Laminated
Yeah,
card.
just saying. Yeah.
oh gosh.
Tom of Edlin was somebody who would pose as a madman, wandered about shrieking, "Mad Tom, Mad Tom."
I've seen a modern version of this in Hammersmith in West London, where somebody was pretending to play a keyboard. He had an electronic keyboard on a stand in the shopping centre, and he was playing the demo button on the keyboard.
Oh, this is where you like go in
So
for
the keyboard
instances
was
and stuff.
effectively playing itself. He pressed the demo button. He was going,
Pourquoi?
And he was just doing this on the keys, like this. And me, being a sort of, you know, eagle-eyed musician, you know, other shoppers not bothered, I went up to him and I said, "Hey," I said, "You're not playing that, are you?" And he said with the most extreme venom, perhaps I'm going to have to swear here, he just went, "Fuck off." Leave me alone. I've got a good gig going here. Get off.
My mum and dad said I should never have bought my granddad that keyboard for Christmas.
Coney Catcher is another one I liked as a general name for a swindler. So it was common for criminals to call their marks rabbits. That was the thing. And coney is an old word for.
Oh, it was me.
So it's things like loaded dice and so on. This is a really simple trick. One of the things that you can do as a coney catcher is approach somebody from behind, put your hands over their eyes and say, "Hey, guess who?" And then go, "Oh, I'm so sorry. It was a complete misunderstanding. I thought you were a friend of mine." And then while all that, "I'm so sorry," and patting them down and being apologetic, you nick their purse. I feel like I'm giving out top tips now.
Hundreds of years too late.
Yeah. Anyway, this first book that I was telling you about, written by Robert Greene, he is considered to be England's earliest professional author. This is actually a picture of him.
Sorry.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
To be fair, darling, we're
That's also why I was practicing.
now.
I'm going in the sack, love.
He's wearing a burial shroud.
Getting in the burial shroud, love. You said that like that made sense.
Yes.
A burial shroud makes me think.
He was the country's foremost romance author, apart from writing about Rose. He wrote a book called Mamilia, A Mirror or Looking Glass for the Ladies of England. The sequel has a very good subtitle, wherein, with perpetual fame, the constancy of gentle woman is canonized, and the unjust blasphemies of women's supposed fickleness breathed out by diverse...
Oh God, there's one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Richard and Judy's book club. You're there. He's said to have died aged 34 in a manner that I think I'm probably going to go in. It was a surfeit of pickled herring and Rhenish wine. He's probably best known today for making the first contemporary reference to Shakespeare. Thoughts what that might be?
Overrated?
Overrated? Well, he thought so. He thought the bard an upstart crow. It's a phrase that's kind of about. Now, a good criminal needs to work on their getaway, so I want you guys to reinvent the run. What ideas could you suggest to make life easier for runs?
Well, as someone with cerebral palsy,
Yes, Doug.
I have spent a lot of time thinking about how to rework my running style, and I think it goes beyond a simple matter of technique, to be honest.
Does it?
There's something deeper at work.
Yes, something more philosophical.
Yeah.
But has anybody got any thoughts about it? We know how you run normally. Can anybody sort of mime how you run normally?
Run.
Wow. It's like you've turned into a cartoon.
What?
Do you run?
Alan, you're doing it
I mean,
all.
there is no problem a Russian athlete hasn't tried to solve with steroids.
Yeah.
No.
At
Yeah.
school, I won the 400 meters back running. I run backwards faster than I can run forward.
This is an event he staged entirely in.
Would you like to show us?
All right.
Can
Yes.
you do it down there?
Yes,
Can
I
you do
will.
it in the front
okay.
there?
Right. So this is me running normally forwards in the traditional style.
Bill, that's surprisingly camp.
Surprisingly grand.
So there was a study done at Harvard University, a man called Andrew Yegin, and what he found was that walking
need to
with
get closer.
completely straight arms was more efficient than walking
What, like this?
Yes.
Let's do recharge.
Looks like I've got some live animals in my pocket.
Running with straight arms.
Running with straight arms.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I feel there's a slight penguin vibe. I'll do the penguin going round the corner gag. You'll love this.
So this study, which was in 2019, what he discovered is that running with straight arms instead of them bent makes no difference actually to the speed or the efficiency. So they gave everybody oxygen masks and asked them to walk and run on treadmills trying these things, because obviously if you use more energy, you're going to need more oxygen.
Yes.
Walking with straight arms actually more efficient, uses 11% less oxygen than walking with bent arms. And when it came to running, it made no difference really in terms of oxygen consumption. So the truth is, we don't really know why we run with bent arms. It's just that everybody seems to think it's harder to run with straight arms. It's possibly just it feels like your head is more stable. Possibly you get less fatigued because your shoulders are moving. We
It's
don't
just
know.
all
There
about
was an
balance,
idea
dude. Honestly, that's all. You swing your arms for balance.
called Cliff Young. He was 61 years old in 1983, and he signed up for the Sydney to Melbourne Ultra Marathon. Okay, it's 875 kilometers. It's a really long way. Lots of elite runners, and he turned up at the start in overalls and Wellingtons over his work boots. Right, and everybody left. They ran off, and obviously he was left behind. Poor old Cliff Young. And everybody knew that a race like this was going to take 6 days, and the best strategy was
I
to
buy
go
and
for it
trade
and sleep for 6.
for the
He
Alliance.
didn't sleep.
See you
Every
later.
day, he got closer to the elite athletes before he finally overtook them on the last day and broke the race record of 5 days, 15 hours, and 4 minutes. And now, almost nobody sleeps during ultra marathons. And the young shuffle, as it's known, has been adopted by ultra marathon runners across the world because it expends less energy. So he invented a new way of running.
I guess I just wonder, like, can anyone reinvent running? Can I show up and just drive a car?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's.
Watch this.
Yes.
guys.
Yeah. I'm going to take the bus.
I got wheels.
Yeah. We're going to sort this out. Well, they are constantly trying to find new ways of
Talk
running.
about
For
that.
instance,
What is
this
this?
AI company, DeepMind, they tried to
Oh,
change
nice.
the computer
That'll
to
go
see
for
if it could
something.
learn a different way of running, and they used sort of virtual rewards and punishments to get the computer to see if there was a better way of moving. I have to say, it's very bizarre. And if this was how you run, well, I think I would have fallen over immediately.
That spell is
Computer
ready.
reckoned is
Bar Radnox, thanks for a follow. I appreciate that.
The idea was that you're training the computer, and every time it fails, it has to start
Nice.
again. So it was a series of trying, but this I love. I mean, that's
Maybe you're right, Al. Is that?
There's a sort of there is a sort of angry.
Taskmasters, we almost got enough silver. That's gonna be out of the way. I still haven't found a smithing tier or the eye.
Swimming, for example, I very
The
much
spyglass,
attached to Queen Mary
particularly.
coming into port when I so it's very.
I'm much more as if someone dropped a toaster in the bath. I'm very much more sort of.
Anyway, the video looks very odd, but it is.
Here.
apparently the most efficient way of
Somebody else came through here
And
before
it's
I
a good
did,
technique
just
because
before I
one
did
day it will
earlier.
help us to
Must have
teach
been.
robots to
These
navigate
guys weren't here
through
before.
different terrain.
What Usain Bolt?
Oh wait, no, they were. I'm dumb.
Right. Since we're giving everybody the runaround, here is a question. How did Olga use a pigeon to her revenge?
Oh god, I'm dead.
I have
Ah!
the only
I wasn't in Moonkin form.
Google search.
And I realized they're right in the middle of it, but I don't know.
Is the woman who brought Christianity to Russia?
Okay, and what can you tell me about her?
I know how her husband was killed, and that was.
No, we'll go this way this time.
So
I
they
ain't.
took two birch trees.
I ain't
and they
doing it
cut
that
them,
time.
And then they tied his legs to each tree, and then they let the trees go.
Yeah, that is
So
correct.
sorry.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
He was attached
yeah.
to both.
I mean, not for long.
No.
No.
He was rent or
Yes,
something.
by a neighbouring tribe, the Drevlians, and she was terribly unhappy. So she decided to get revenge.
Terrible.
So this is the Russian saint Olga. She came from the city of, is it Pskov?
Pskov. That's too many consonants.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. Anyway, she decided to get her revenge. So what she did was she laid siege to the capital of the Drevlian people. Shall I just say it quickly?
Oh, just go for it.
Yeah, it's Korsten. Totally nailed it. Which is in, now in the Ukraine. So what she did, she laid siege to the town, and she said she would only accept surrender in the form of a tribute of a pigeon and some sparrows from every single household. So everybody thought that's internet. So the Drevlians all sent these birds out, and she ordered a piece of sulphur to be tied to each bird's leg and ignited, and the birds were released. They all flew home and burnt the city to the ground. No, you're as a bird lover, you're horrified.
Horrified by that.
No.
And fascinated at the same
Yeah.
time.
They obviously were brave modern day pigeons, otherwise they'd have gone, no, I'm not doing
What's
it.
that?
Shit.
What's the
Yeah,
little
I've seen a few
gear
London
thing?
pigeons would have just run that off.
I never know. Sup, yo. Yeah, the hi-yo. Oh, it just means hi, I guess. All right.
Bit of sulphur in it. I'll dip it in Trafalgar Square fountain. There we go.
We're enjoying the nice walk back.
There's also
Been good.
another marvelous Russian revenge called
How's your game going?
Yeah, that. So her husband was killed by the Germans near Kiev in 1941, and she sold all her belongings to buy a tank. She bought a T-34 medium tank. I don't know if they come in small and large as well.
For sale, though.
Well, apparently she just went and got one, and she said she was going to go to the Soviet war effort on one condition, that she be the one allowed to operate it during battle to avenge her husband. So the State Defense Committee agreed, and she had 5 months of training. And then in 1943, she was launched 38. She was fighting on the front line, driving a tank with the words.
Oh, I messed up. Oh, am I streaming daily? Interesting. Why would you ask me that question? Yes, I stream every day.
By shell fragments in January 1944, but
Can't cast that yet.
made a hero of the Soviet.
Yes, dot damage.
Pigeons themselves, of course, have the ability to wreak revenge. They can recognize humans who have.
Oh, there we go. I got the spyglass. Very good.
Yes, this is a
Good
worrying
to know.
thing.
That is good to know.
So they did a study at the University of Paris West Terre-la-Défense, and they got 2 researchers, similar builds, similar skin color, wearing different colored.
Spiders. I haven't really done these.
Interact with some pigeons. One fed them and one chased them away. And repeatedly, when they returned, the pigeons
It's
would
too far
follow
away.
around the one behind them and avoid. Even when they swapped ladders.
All right, here we go. This is all the energy I have. My mana is about to be gone. Oh, perfect. That was actually really good.
One group that pigeons are best to avoid are hairdressers. This is a bizarre thing. So they did another study at the University of Lyon. Pigeons
Get out of here,
hairdressers.
rock guy. I have no interest in you. Oh.
It's probably the only thing you'll remember when you go home.
Get 'em, boys!
What is that? So pigeons landed on people's
Get 'em!
heads. What?
Yes.
Something off the pigeons, sir? Yes, please. Just the toes.
How long have I been streaming? For like over a decade. Been doing this for a long time.
Good
But
lord.
because I'm so good at it.
Again that we mustn't
I'm a,
go?
I'm a gem.
Oh, yes, here we go.
I think you'll find.
Treasure of contemplation,
Remember,
comedy,
in Russia, what's the most powerful drink in history?
ethics,
I'm going to go. I'm going to just.
and refined reliquary. A refined reliquary. Yeah, there you go.
I love vodka, actually. Do you like? Are you?
Oh, and I'm handsome.
Because it
Don't,
says
get,
so much
don't,
about
don't
Russian
forget about
people.
that.
Like Russian people
I
bit
just
into
can't help
raw
myself. I have to
potatoes.
show the world how handsome I am.
This is amazing, but can we make it liquid and ruin our lives?
Fabulous.
Vodka is. Well, it's great because it doesn't really have. A
Dark
great
silver, right?
taste.
I just need one.
It does. You can have it ice. It doesn't freeze, does it?
It also
Kind of a
makes you thinner
maybe I'll be able to
going
find
out
more.
because it thins your blood and
Dark iron.
therefore
I'm gonna be able to nail it off those.
Sales are going through the.
Yeah.
I know.
One immediately.
Well, what the aim is to totally dehydrate.
So the
Oh
most
my.
powerful drink in history is not vodka, it is Pepsi. So for
Oh,
a very
wow.
long time,
That smell isn't ready
1990,
yet.
the 6th largest electric in the world was I know. So 1972, Pepsi executive, there he is, Donald Kendall. He successfully negotiated an entire monopoly of cola in the Soviet Union. So Coca-Cola were out, it was only going to be Pepsi.
Is he trying to get that can off his face?
Yes.
Oh, it says he's here, but he's not. He's below. Yes, of course.
So the ruble wasn't worth very much money internationally at the time, and anyway, the Kremlin forbid foreign sale of rubles. So a deal was struck initially where Pepsi Cola syrup was swapped for mountains of Soviet vodka.
Oh, yeah.
When Pepsi decided that vodka was not enough payment, so Russia agreed a $3 billion
Oh, is this it?
deal.
This is the floor.
that
Okay.
everything would be paid in Soviet warships.
The official units in Russia are mountains of vodka and warships
more ships, yes. They got 17 submarines, a frigate, a cruiser, and a destroyer for their drink, and they quickly became the sixth most powerful. They sold it to a Swedish company for scrap. There's a little Swede going, hello, yes, scrap merchant. I mean, yes, 17 submarines. No, but it's a so they once offered New Zealand MiG fighter jets and tanks and nuclear submarines on deck for dairy imports.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
You're not, no.
They sold me off.
That's a complaint.
You're right.
I mean, also.
Yes, very good.
Must be shitting himself. Just
They've got that silly truck that goes around.
What's this?
Pepsi have got a nuke.
What the heck do I need? Dark Iron Taskmaster. Do I not? Am I just not finding them?
What is water?
Can I get through here? Oh, wait, can I? Oh, fine. Oh, yeah. Hello, Taskmaster. Yeah. Oh, very good. They're cool. How many do I need?
I
Need
mean,
3 of
that's what
them.
my mom used to
Perhaps
say.
you've tasked much in here and you need 3? No.
Like one of my old Christmas trees.
Might as well make it a party.
Some of my West Country relatives.
I'd say it's expensive.
Yeah, I like that experience. It's a lot slower than doing a dungeon. Let's take a look. I really do like the dungeons.
Anything under 10%
that's not my listing right now. We'll stick with healing. I mean, I could do TPS, whatever. Blackrock Depths is what I'm interested in. Liz. See, oh.
What the hell?
When you've had a pint of that, this is what you see.
There's 2 people. I could do DPS.
This is like some of my lockdown dreams.
They sent 10 of their investors a bottle of this particular beer mounted inside a taxidermy roadkill squirrel.
That someone got divorced over.
I think, yes.
it's not
my
drunk
God.
as a beer though, is it? It's drunk in a shot glass.
It says it should be drunk in small servings.
Yeah.
Is entirely correct.
I bet this is in the inside locker of every RSPCA warden. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you care for him on the outside, is turn him into a bottle. That's what I say. You bloody vermin!
He's not replying. I don't think he's gonna reply. I got him. Chat, you're free. Oh.
All the taxidermy ideas.
Oh, copy.
All the legs.
That's right. Somebody got himself a
utensils.
theremin made out of a badger. Alright?
So what made out of
Badger, you know a badger?
I know what a badger is. I didn't know what the first word was.
See, there's not enough
You know,
people.
it was invented by the Russian radio
Just straight not
engineer.
enough, so like it doesn't even matter. And I'm not.
It's a thing.
I'm not. It's been like that all night, but that's just because most of the folks are. Yeah, you know that's the funny thing too is like the place dies out pretty heavily
Which, you know,
at night, which has always been really normal, especially in the coast side,
And there's one shape
like American coast. Well, it's early morning on what day is it? It's Friday.
Hang on.
I've been given strange things that usually results in penicillin.
well,
We know you love the weasel ukulele.
I love the weasel ukulele. That's given me ideas.
My brain kind of skipped a beat there for a second.
That was
Oh
a
shit! Yes. Oh, that would have been dramatically cool.
hole.
Unfortunate.
Moved your hand closer, it went.
Get up, boys!
Just reminded me of it there.
I totally want to be that does that.
All 3 of them stick together. I love it. We're gonna cancel this. Get up, boys! Yeah, they gang up on one person. Frank, Bank, and Harold. Oh, I gotta think of really good names for them. Steve, Margot.
That sort of sound is directly
Oh, they're gone.
on film as well. That thing.
Be careful if you're ever doing
Ted,
a deal in
Bob,
Wales,
and
add shipping. should you always keep in your wallet? Ooh.
A condom that isn't expired.
Carla. Ted, Bob, and Carla. I don't know. I could think of the last one. I'd throw a lady in there. We got a 3.
Hey?
I think they go off due to sort of pity.
I gotta get spiders.
Stay too long.
Oh, it says there's quite a few of them over here.
No, not a condom in the wallet. So there was an experiment done in 2009 by Professor Richard Wiseman at the University of Hertfordshire, and his team dropped 240 wallets all around the city of Edinburgh. Some of them puppy, some of them found on a tray, some of the picture of a puppy, some of them more pictures at all. 88% of the wallets were returned. The puppy, 53%, the family, 48%, the elderly couple, 48%.
Immune.
Professor Wiseman says he
I hate farming.
anticipates
Like the greatest, the greatest counter. Well, I guess it's not so bad, but like for flow, I guess
That would be a weird one to explain away.
having half your spells being taken away from you. So annoying. Especially all your CC. You can't CC them at all.
It is extraordinary what people will decide
out of
to
rain.
return or not. So there's a similar experiment led by University of Michigan professor Alain Cohn. They distributed 17,000 allegedly lost wallets in all three different cities across 14 years. Some of them had no clue, others had the local currency $13.45, and they wanted to see who would send the money back. So let's have a look. Which of these wallets do you think are most likely to be returned? Is it the empty wallet? Is it the one which has got a little bit of money in it, or the one that is absolutely jam-packed with money?
I would say the one that's jam-packed with money because people feel like there might be some legal ramification if they stole that one.
You're absolutely right. So the assumption is that the one with lots of money is the least likely to return it. And in fact, they did a survey of 250 economists, and all agree definitely the one with lots of money in it is not going to be the one that gets returned, which shows you what economists need to know about money. So 72% of the ones filled with cash were returned. 61% gave back a little bit of money, and 46% gave back the empty wallet. So I think people are nicer.
Generally good.
Do you remember the lost property office?
At railway station.
Yes, there used to be an office, didn't there? And you could go and see if somebody found your leg.
The numbers are absolutely staggering. Number of umbrellas,
Yeah.
public transport,
Yeah.
phones in hand, like a thousand.
I reckon a pigeon's gone there to look for one of his legs.
Oh. Anyway, no police force in England and Wales handles lost property anymore. It's not a thing. It stopped in 2017. They'll accept anything with personal data on it, so a phone or a
But anything else, what they do is just incinerate it.
they just don't have anything.
That's still
They'll accept
recharging.
money. Pornography. Money, pornography, drugs. Anybody? Passports. Anything linked to crime. Nothing else. They won't take anything else in. You're sort of responsible for it.
So they won't touch it even that much. They'll just travel on the trains for eternity, just back and
Yes,
forth.
backwards and forwards.
Fills them.
Umbrellas.
Planes,
Yeah. But the police are not.
I got off the train once and left my bag on it. It's not my best anecdote, Sandy, I'll give you that.
I need to get
I
closer.
thought it was strong. I thought it was
Left the
strong.
train,
Yeah.
I left a bag on a train.
Yeah.
Once I was in a double act, and only one of us got on the train and did the gig. So, you know, rest is history. No, I'm just saying.
Who was your double act?
Yeah, he was a lovely fella.
Is she still doing that?
Yeah, no, not doing the old,
It's too far away.
not doing the comedy, no.
And you?
Me, yeah.
That's
Kept going with it. I've tried, you know,
Just checking.
plugged away.
First couple of years he'd look.
The last time we gigged together was in a church, which seems very unlikely.
Oh, gosh, yes. That's right.
Did you do any cross biting?
Yeah, loads of cross biting, and I finished off with the bear top.
Bananas, you went.
Now, what kind of creature loves devouring books?
Termites.
Point for that, Jack. I think that's entirely true. A creature, we're looking for animals. It's incorrect because
But because worms can't read.
no, there's no such thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
Mostly it's beetles, things that eat books. Beetles are at their hungriest and most destructive, the larval stage. I have to be honest, they do look a bit like worms at that point.
Beetles,
And
oh.
like each species of book-eating beetle has a different appetite. Yeah, so some of them like vellums, others favour paper, some like the bindings of leather, they like glue.
A little bit of romance.
Little bit of science fiction, yeah.
It's like reading James Joyce or something, like a really difficult meal for them. Like,
Or there's like really low, really chipper work. I've just had a couple of lines of poetry. I'm banging. I'm out for a night out.
They have been known to burrow a single hole through a 27-volume work. So
Oh, that's annoying.
I know.
Whole set.
All the way through.
Little shit.
So, so there are several ways of getting rid of them. One is to snap freeze the infested books.
Yeah, that's still.
So there was an infestation of Italian bookworms at Yale's Bernecchi Library, and what they did was
I
they
need to get
froze them
closer.
to -36 degrees Celsius for 3 days. There's two marvellous libraries in Portugal, 18th century libraries, and they have a fantastic, I think rather lo-fi bug prevention system. They have resident bats. So the Biblioteca Joannina at the University of Colmar and the Palace Library in the Palace of Mafra. This is the Palace Library in the
Nice.
Palace of Mafra, isn't it? Stunning. Absolutely stunning. Opened in 1755.
Sorry.
And the bats live behind the bookcases in these rather
Symbol of
rooms. And they set bats free
Ragnarok.
every night, and they eat all the insects, the bibliopests.
But they're not.
They shit everywhere.
Well, so what they have to do is they have to put animal skins all over all of the furniture, and then they have to de-poo it in the morning to get rid
Oh,
of
fuck it.
all the
I mean,
bats.
surely there's more work there than this.
That's
I
still
mean,
recharging.
Really?
These are very, very rare books that cannot be eaten. Wow, that's a weird sentence. Oh, this is a very rare book. This cannot be eaten.
No.
What about getting new copies of all the books?
Can't eat a Kindle.
Could probably do that whole library in one
One
pad.
Kindle.
Yeah.
Really? On a USB stick.
I mean, how beautiful would that be?
Still have the ornate architecture, just as one shelf with a USB on it.
Now, what is the most extreme way anyone's ever avoided having sex?
by saying, "Come to this library with a load of bats in it."
Yes.
Any kind of self-mutilation involved?
You're saying you take one testicle and strap it to one sapling, and then you take another testicle and strap it to another sapling, and bang!
We're talking about creatures.
That smell is
What about animals? Okay, so something
Yeah.
that animals do to
Yeah.
prevent having sex.
Avoid, yeah. So we are in the world of dragonflies. I don't know if any of you have noticed those huge influx of dragonflies in
Yes.
the UK this last year.
Is that a 69?
That
Yeah, not strictly.
it's quite difficult.
Quite a high number.
Yeah. It's quite hard to work out
No,
who's
it's a
doing
heart,
what
isn't
to
it?
who there.
Beautiful heart.
Yeah, it's
One of them saying, "Get off me,
Yeah.
you bastard."
Yeah.
well, that is in fact correct because that is one of the things that the female dragonfly will do.
That's
So
still
this is a study
recharging.
by a man called Rasim Khalifa, a zoologist from the University of Zurich. So female dragonflies, ones that are known as the common hawker, pretend to be dead while pursued by a male in order to avoid amorous attention.
Well, this is something that I've seen frequently.
It's called sanatosis. It's Greek for putting to death, and it is a way of avoiding sex, is to pretend
To be dead.
that you are dead. Yeah. So,
Not
You
put
know what the
everyone
word
off.
for it? I knew it.
so what usually happens is after mating, most male dragonflies will guard their partner, but this particular species, which is known as the Ashna junkia, they just fly off and they allow the female to be harassed by other males. But if another male tries to mate with her at that point, as she's had sex already, her reproductive tract might be damaged, or she could even be drowned by an aggressive male as they walk a couple of times in the water. And so to avoid this, they go into the undergrowth and lie motionless on their backs, and the amorous male gives up and goes away. That is an extraordinary picture.
It is. It's beautiful.
It's astonishing. So, years ago, when a male arachnid gives a gift to a female to allow him to mate with her, but the gift is often fake, and she doesn't realise it until it's where it's gone. A bit of a top trickster. Well, there is a spider species called the Physora mirabilis, and these males go one even further. The male initiates sex by presenting the larger
Nice.
female, the tasty snack.
Yes.
Like I imagine it to be a fly, maybe it could be a tasty snack. And while she distractedly tucks into it, he begins copulation. And then if she tries to make off with the gift, he plays dead and holds on to the present, so that she has to drag him with it. And I know. And then when she stops, he springs back to life and has another go at it.
I've seen a version of that a very late night near a bus stop with a kebab.
I'll bloody love you.
Now we venture into the roguish round that's really good for nothing. General ignorance. Fingers on buzzers, please. Why is the River Thames brown?
Is it because of silt?
Absolutely right. Tidal currents, so it's nothing to do with pollution, but you might think it's silted sand. There was a time when a lot of waste flowed directly into the Thames. In fact, in 1957, the Natural History Museum declared the Thames was biologically dead. It was a foul-smelling drain. But a new modern system of sewage was put in the 1960s, and today it's said to be one of the cleanest rivers in the world. 138 seal pups counted in 2018.
Want to drink
Sharks.
a cup of it, though, would
You wouldn't want to drink a cup of it, but I had to do some filming, and I was standing on the very top of the O2, which we can see there. I took a photograph. There was a seal. I mean, it's not a very good photograph because it was miles and miles away, but I could see about 6 seals from where I was at the top of the O2.
There's a colony of seals living at Teddington Lock.
Is there?
Yes, there's porpoise, dolphin, and whale. I've seen in the Thames when I can paddleboarding.
I mean, that's not to say there isn't shed loads of rubbish in the Thames.
Corpses.
Yeah, thought of. Well, they reckon about a corpse a week in the Thames.
Oh,
We're just trying to avoid sex.
I know. The Port of London Authority removes about 200 tonnes of rubbish from the river every year. In just one day in 2019, the PLA removed 70 tangled trolleys that were spotted clumped together at low tide. Have a
Oof.
look at that. I know.
That's beautiful.
And 60% of the rubbish is single-use plastic. So, you know, please use a reusable bottle. Okay. The colour of the Thames is mostly down to silt. There is still some pollution in there, but mentioning that just muddies the water. Right. What is this wave called?
Big. Freak. It's a freak wave.
It's not a tidal wave.
Massive wave, massive
Wave,
freak wave, wall
Look out. A lookout. A buttock clean, a trouser filler.
a surfer drowner.
An absolute bloody shitstormer.
Off.
A rascally rogue.
A rogue
Oh,
wave.
a rogue wave.
A
Oh,
rogue
what a
wave.
shame.
So tidal waves occur in shallow water, right?
Yes.
They're caused by gravitational interactions between the sun and the moon and the earth. Tsunamis are giant waves caused by
Tectonic shifts.
so undersea earthquakes and volcanic eruptions and so on. The thing here, this is a rogue wave. They are sometimes called freak waves. They are mountainous swells.
Just don't know why. It's one of
We
those.
don't really
Can I
know
help
why.
you?
What defines them?
For
They
the
have to
Alliance.
be twice the
See
height
you around. Be
of
careful.
more than a third of the waves in the air.
What can
Now,
I
they
do for
appear
you?
really suddenly. I mean, they're
Have a good one.
unbelievably dangerous for shipping. And for centuries, people thought it was an exaggeration by sailors that no such thing really existed. Then on New Year's Day in 1995, an enormous wave smashed into the Draupner oil platform, which is just off the coast of Norway. And it was recorded at an astonishing 85 feet from trough to peak. And it was the standard assumption was that these waves maybe happened once every 10,000 years or something.
Did it knock it over? Were they all?
No, everybody was absolutely fine, yeah.
Looking for
but they
something
analysed about
specific?
30,000 satellite images
See
over
you
a
later.
3-week period in 2003, and they discovered 10 waves
Have a good
around
one.
the world that had reached that height, so it's not quite as
Can I
frequent as
help
thought,
you?
And nobody knows how they're created. According
For
to
the
Peter
Alliance.
Challoner of the National Oceanographic Centre in Southampton, people have been working actively
there.
on this for the past 50 years at least. We don't even have the start of a theory.
Be careful.
I'm just
you
imagining
around.
scientists on surfboards
Hey there.
going, oh shit!
Have a good one.
This is
See
one.
you later.
Definitely one.
It reminds me of one of those Japanese prints, you know, those sort of
Yeah.
prints of
Beautiful.
And
See you
that's
around.
My phone case actually is that painted, that Japanese painted.
Is it really?
Wave, yeah. So that's consumerism for you.
Yeah. Right there.
Yeah.
It turns out rogue waves aren't tall stories, but are stories tall. All of which brings us to the final scores. In fourth place, the villain of tonight's piece with -29 is Alan. In third place with -8, it's Bill. In second place with -6, it's Olga. But sneaking into first place, an absolutely quizzy rascal with 4.
I don't understand the flux one, I guess.
It only remains for me to thank Olga and Bill and Jack and Alan, and I leave you with this impish tip from Steve Martin. For sincere advice and the correct time, call any number at random at 3 a.m. Good night.
Talk to me. Walk with you. Watch your back. Walk with you. Watch your back. Interest you on the fight? Be good. Watch your back. What's on your mind?
There's a guy you could talk to.
You got my attention. How are you? Be good.
Or there's a thought that you can sell to. I'm not crazy. There's somebody.
What's on your mind? Here there.
Good evening and welcome to QI. Tonight we are quintessentially Q, and taking their cues from me are the quirky Holly Walsh, the quizzical Cariad Lloyd, the quixotic Josh Widdicombe, and for the quadrillionth time, it's Alan Davis! And their buzzers are quintessentially QI. Holly goes. Cariad goes. Josh goes. And Alan goes. It was a mishmash. Just for you. Right, here we go. This is a portrait
Off
of the
with you.
Qing dynasty. First of all, how would you spell Qing? Anybody?
With a Q.
Yes, Q-I-N-G. So, why is this woman so made up?
Did she walk too slowly through the makeup department at Army Navy in Guildford?
Oh, that is the most terrifying thing, isn't
Yeah.
it?
My mum paid for me to go for a makeover in one of those.
Did she?
Yes.
Recently?
No, when I was about 17,
Right.
I honestly looked like a woman in her late 80s.
Wait, I've seen this. I remember that
actually
joke.
like Mary Berry. That was what
It was good. It made me laugh the first time she said it.
This is a portrait of...
Let's see what this one is. You know, you only watch so much content before it goes on, before you watch the same stuff, you know? Perfect.
Welcome to QI. Tonight we will be getting quite quizzical about everything in the Q animal kingdom. Let's meet tonight's menagerie. The questing Phil Jupitus. The queenly Cariad Lloyd. The quasi-autonomous Deliso Chaponda. And an absolute corker, Alan Davis. quadrupeds. A moose in a quarry. A moose in a quandary. A moose in a quadcopter. And a Komodo dragon in Quentin Tarantino's jacuzzi.
Oh my God! Come on, old dragon in the pool!
Okay, excellent. Right, I love this. What is blue and sounds like a whale?
Is it a blue whale?
And we're off for a roaring start. So, the whole...
Is it a sad dolphin? Oh, I didn't expect you to care. Of course, dolphins, we care about
Yeah,
them,
we
don't
care about
What
them.
does a whale sound like?
They're really soothing. You know,
Yeah.
they have those tapes to help you get to sleep.
Yeah.
Steve, how far away are you? 1,500 miles. You hear me? Yes, the sound is loud and clear. What are you eating? Plankton. What colour are you? Blue. You sound like a whale.
There was a genius comic called Linda Smith, and one of her best jokes was she said, I bought one of those tapes of whale music, and I thought it was really soothing. Turned out to be a dolphin tribute band.
Also, we don't know what it means. It could be soothing to us, but they're saying, I'm
That's still
choking on the
rechargeable.
plastic.
Yes. Can I just remind everybody that this season is the letter Q.
You something's up.
So,
The Queen.
what is blue and sounds like a whale?
A quail.
Yes, a blue quail is the correct answer.
We're doing Christmas cracker jokes.
We're just trying to upset
As
Alan.
in, what is orange and sounds like a parrot?
What is orange?
A parrot.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
So the blue quail lives in sub-Saharan Africa. It's one of about 40 species of quail worldwide. Actually, only the males are blue. Girls, they're brown with buff underparts. Don't you love the word buff?
Yes.
Gotta go underground.
Plural of quail is.
Quaili.
No, it's quail.
Okay.
It's just quail.
It's always worth having a go, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it?
Quail eye for the straight guy.
That's a program I'd like to see. What did quail teach us about sex in space, do you suppose?
They sent quails up to space.
Yes, they could in fact be called the very first extraterrestrial life form.
Okay, I'm gonna take a mad guess.
Yep.
They taught us how to be caring lovers.
Well,
They set the eggs up.
they did send the eggs up. They were the very first vertebrates to be born in space.
Zero gravity.
They went up into the Mir space station in 1990, part of the Russian program. They wanted to find out if quail would be a good food source for a long-term mission. So 8 of them hatched out of that lot. They couldn't cope with zero gravity. They simply couldn't latch on and feed themselves at all. So this is the sweetest thing. The cosmonauts had to stop every 2 hours and feed the quail. And in the end, they invented a little jacket that harnessed them to the feeder. They were like that for feeding in this little quail jacket. What they discovered was it completely removes their sex drive. What? Yes, entirely going up into space. The females stopped ovulating, the males had reduced testosterone levels, and both sexes exhibited an absolute apathy to mating.
So this means my girlfriend's been to space.
Maybe.
I'd be all right if Sandra Bullock drifted by in her underwear. That'd be... Oh, there's Sandra. I knew she'd be here.
Sorry, I'm having trouble concentrating. Sandra Bullock. There seems to be a great deal of interest in the sex life of whales. This is one of my favourite studies. It's the University of Kentucky, 2011 received a massive grant from the National Institute of Health to study what the effect of cocaine is on the sex drive of the Japanese quail.
Everyone's just deep frying everything and see what
Here's the thing that will surprise you. Apparently, the cocaine was linked to increased risky sexual behaviour.
Well, I'll say it. Where's my drugs?
So, old British words for quail, they used to be called butt for butt.
Butt for butt.
They get better. Wet my lips. And quick me dick.
There's another medieval phrase for quail, which is cocaine whore.
They all refer to the sounds that they make. In fact, so does the word quail itself. It comes from the medieval Latin word for quail. It's supposed to be the sound. Shall we have a listen and see if we think it sounds like any of those things?
Got any gear? Got any gear?
You're going to love this, Alan. I have a fact that is just for you. Okay. The male Japanese quail, they have a gland above their sex organ. And
It's right up your alley.
It secretes a liquid containing, it has some of the same enzymes and proteins that you get in egg white, and they whip this into a stiff foam using their sphincter. And then... yes, imagine you're beating like this.
I never
I don't
taken
think I will.
Japanese quail meringue
And then
ever.
they deposit into the female after the sperm.
Like a dessert.
I don't know what it's...
Is it like clay to make sure it doesn't come back out?
Oh, yes, yes. There seems to be some advantage, but we don't know what it is, other than, I think, fun. We've talked a lot about the male quail. There's something interesting about the females. They're attracted to losers.
We've all been there.
McMaster's University in Ontario, they did some research. So what they did, they had 2 male quail in a box with a plexiglass divider down the middle, and they fought by trying to peg each other through the glass. And they had a female quail watch this, and when she was placed in with the 2 males, she preferred the loser, the one who had shown the least aggression.
Perhaps it didn't show what he could do with his whipping sphincter. He lost the pecking, but she was checking the sphincter, and she was like, "Look at the whip on that. Yes, please."
It's also possible she's hoping that the male quail is not going to be aggressive towards her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, what's the most numerous undomesticated bird in the world?
Pigeon.
Oh, wait, that's what I was going to say.
Does that mean he's right?
No, he's wrong.
Oh, he's wrong.
That means he's wrong.
It means
yes.
he's wrong. Okay.
You'll hear that a lot when Alan speaks.
Okay.
Chicken.
I told you.
I didn't get too long.
So I'm going to give you a clue. This is one of the ways to kill it. This is a piece of dynamite.
Okay.
The Roadrunner. Does it live in Britain?
No, so Deliso is in with the best chance of knowing this, as there are lots of these in Malawi.
Oh, okay.
Yes?
It's weaver birds. Quillia?
Quilea.
Weaver bird is what we call them. But
Quilea.
Quilea.
Yes, you're
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely right. It's called the red-billed Quilea.
Oh,
You should... They should not be applauding these things. They are a menace.
Okay.
These things are like the bane of farmers. They like flop and they eat like everything. They're like
feathered locusts.
That's exactly it. Yes.
There are approximately 1.5 billion of these birds. So to put that into some kind of context, the UK's most numerous bird is the wren. There are 8.6 million breeding pairs. They come in flocks of 2 million birds. And each bird eats roughly half its own body weight a day.
Are they
Damn.
elephant? That one.
Well, they're going to eat the weight of an elephant. They can consume 20 tons a day, one flock. So they can absolutely decimate agriculture. It is an extraordinary thing.
And getting rid of them, they like people go through the field with like drums trying to chase them away. We don't have dynamite. That seems like a better plan than the drums.
the drums are like, we might get dynamite, guys. We're seriously thinking about it.
We don't have the budget.
But you're right, if you don't have the money for dynamite, you just try and go into the field to scare them, but they're incredibly mobile and they'll just go on to the next field.
They do have wings, don't they?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. Well, they've tried napalm, they've tried pathogens, they've tried electronic devices, dynamite, fire.
Behind this, field full of smarties, and they all go over there.
No one thinks of it.
Or just a million cats.
Can you imagine the poor pilot who, you know, he wants to see action in the army and they send him to firebomb a bunch of birds?
Yeah, about 50 million are killed in South Africa alone every single year. But they have very few natural predators, and the females produce about 9 offspring a year, so they're able to just keep replenishing themselves. I have to say, this is not the only animal that farmers use dynamite on. I love this story. In the Austrian province of Vorarlberg in 2018...
Oh, God.
They banned...
Not Daisy.
You're going to hate this. They banned the practice of blowing up dead cows.
Yeah. Is that how they'd make a stew? What would
No, so what it is that area, it's a very alpine area, it's right on the Swiss border, and when a cow dies, you've got to get rid of it, but it can die by falling down a precipice or being struck by lightning or something. But it's really difficult to get rid of the remains, and so they were having to helicopter the dead cows out. that costs $1,000 a trip, so some farmers were blowing them up. $32 to blow up.
No expense spared on it.
$22.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you know why they've stopped doing it? It's against the law now to do it. Do you know why?
Well, it might spread diseases, surely.
Contamination of the groundwater, but the other thing which I really like is it was putting tourists off.
What shall we do today? Let's just blow it up. I can't be asked getting a helicopter.
What fun.
What is happening over there in Austria? We are making some cheese with holes in. We are hearing the banging and there is meat landing on my roof.
No, we're not. We're not doing anything. No, just carry on with your cheese. It's blowing up now.
There is... I have a hoof in my cheese.
Don't tell everybody. They'll all want one.
Anyway, who's started waking up earlier in order to get more selfies?
Is it Snoop?
Teenagers.
Teenagers? No.
There are all these young pop stars, the Kardashians and stuff, who've got selfies. Do I win something?
No, it's not a good thing.
I get a buzz for saying Kim Kardashian?
Yeah, because we thought it was predictable that somebody at some point...
I'm not Kanye West!
Don't get cross, darling. It's fine. Remember, we're in Q and we're doing
Animals.
Q animals.
Whale.
Queen koala.
Okay, you are in the right part.
All right, we did it. We finally did this part.
Queen kangaroo.
You are in the right part of the world. It is the world's...
Oh, the tiny face from New Zealand.
Yes.
Isn't
No.
that Australia. The tiny happy one from Australia. When you take a picture, it looks like he's smiling, and people keep taking pictures, and it looks like he's poking his head in, smiling. So
It is
cute.
the world's happiest animal.
Is it a quagga?
Quagga. Yes,
Oh, it's so
absolutely right.
cute.
Very well. Have you seen one?
What?
Look.
So cute.
No, I haven't. I want one.
They live mostly on a little tiny island called Rottnest, just off Perth, just off the coast of Western Australia.
That's a great photo.
Isn't it the cutest
I don't
thing?
trust it. That's like a person in a suit. That's...
Oh, my bad.
Oh, look, have you seen the rest of the peloton? I lost the guys completely.
So the quokka is an Aboriginal word, and the Dutch sailors initially mistook them for giant rats, and that's why the island is called Rottnest. And there are more than 7,400 quokka selfies, which were posted on social media in 2018.
Oh, okay, never mind.
People like Roger Federer, the tennis player, and Margot
I
Robbie.
thought that was like taking me towards burning
Federer with
steps.
the quokka. And
Who
apparently...
are you R-ing? Roger Federer or the Quackers? Everybody was like,
They're all on push bikes as well.
Here is the sweetest thing about them. They're nocturnal, but those that are on Rottnest are now staying awake during the day in order to spend time with the tourists. And the ones who are on the bit of the island that's highly developed for tourism are doing better
Oh, wait, no, yeah.
than ones in the less disturbed habitats. Yeah. Here's the thing that's slightly going to put you off the clock.
oh, does it shit in your face? That put me right
It's
off.
got a gland that makes a stew that you have sex with.
Do not eat their pavlovas.
Not great parents. So when the female quokka becomes aware of a predator, the first thing she does is she ejects the joey from her pouch, and the infant lies on the ground making a sort of hissing noise, and this distraction allows the mother to escape and leave the predator.
Really? I mean, you say bad parent, but in a way, she's smart, isn't she?
Animals do that, don't they?
Well, grey kangaroos do it, swamp wallabies, and there are lots of other...
They call it cockheads.
Get 'em, boys!
Roger Federer and the Quackettes is the band I want to see.
Quokkas get their beauty sleep at night now, so they can always look their best for a daytime selfie.
But selfies are dangerous.
Oh, yes, they are. Many people die doing selfies.
Also, like, I was given advice by a comedian who said, oh, if a fan comes and they recognize you and they're excited, maybe you should say, oh, do you want a selfie? Because sometimes they're too shy. And I followed this advice.
Yes.
And in Nottingham, a woman was like, "Oh, I recognize you." I was like, "Oh, hi." And I said, "Do you want a selfie?" And she said, "No, you're not the Eiffel Tower."
Now, sticking with Australian marsupials, a quoll is a
That was
small-sized
pretty funny.
marsupial. Okay, let us imagine that you're hosting a barbie. You're in Australia, and a mob of quolls turn up. What are you going to offer them?
Straight away, you give them a tinny. Then you ask them if they're veggie.
Okay. They're not vegetarian.
But why do we have to offer them anything? We didn't invite them. Now we're catering for everyone who turns up?
Yes, so there is a reason why you want them to eat something.
Because they're cuter than you.
Oh, no,
Eat that which is cuter than you.
I don't think that's nature's rule. What's a barbecue thing? Another barbecue thing?
Burgers, sausages.
Sausages! Okay, sausages is what you need to offer them. What kind of sausages do you think you might offer a quoll?
Vegetarian.
Okay, the reason we need to do this is to save them from extinction. Is the real reason.
They should have said that when they turned up.
Yeah, so...
We're being extinct, feed us. Because I was like, get out of here. This is my barbecue, I'm inviting my friends.
No, their numbers have dropped dramatically, and it is because partly they've been eaten by foxes and they've been eaten by cats, which were introduced by the Victorians, but also they like to eat cane toads. So there is a toxin in the back of cane toad. So licking them can cause hallucinations, and there are indeed Australian dogs which are entirely addicted to doing this.
That's an addict.
A Labrador on a trip is a fantastic thought. But the quolls can be killed by this poison. So, in order to educate them not to eat cane toads, they're being fed sausages made from toad mince. They take the harmful skin off, they make the mince, and they lace it with a chemical which makes the quolls feel nauseous. The plan is to put them off eating toad.
But I think the ones in the wild don't smell like barbecued.
Also, were they hoping that they go back home? They're like, oh, Tony, I had some toad. No, I'm telling you what, it was bad. Oh, I'll go and tell Sheila. Let's spread the word. Well, Tony had a bad toad sausage. We should all avoid it.
Up to 68%
slag
of wild
pit.
quolls that have been fed toad sausages have been put off eating toad.
They've got good social networking.
And they're actually hoping now that they can drop toad sausages by helicopter.
Did you just say that one more time?
They are astonishing cane toads, so they're not native to Australia at all. They're native to Central and South America. In 1935, they were brought in to
Still don't have that? Whoa.
to get rid of a pest, which was the cane beetle. They brought in 102 toads. It was a failure. Why?
I think we should definitely leave Europe.
Why would it be a failure?
They eat other things.
No, so they live on the ground and beetles can fly.
Oh,
Sure. These 102 toads have grown into today's population of 1.5 billion toads, and they have devastated Australia's flora and fauna.
Toads love to do it.
Oh, a female toad can have 35,000 eggs.
What?
Yeah. So here's a nice thing, apart from the toad sausages. One of the ways they're thinking now of saving the quoll is to turn them into pets. There are people who say that you should have them instead of a cat, and in fact, they're rather sweet. They can be trained. They can use a litter tray. They weigh about the same.
Yes, sweet, really sweet.
It's not working out.
If you got your foot sticking out from under the duvet, that gets hold of you.
They do have the second biggest bite force quotient. So how hard they can bite relative to the size of any animal.
Good for children, then.
Yeah. Second only to the Tasmanian devil. But, of course, keeping them as pets is not going to save the wild population in any way whatsoever. Here's a fact about quolls that I love. The breeding season only lasts for 3 days, during which they mate with their partner every 15 minutes for the entire duration. Yeah. But the males and the females only meet for that 3-day fest.
They want to stop eating the toads and talk to them about having sex.
Also, not great parents, these ones. Yeah.
Oh, they're never
great
are.
parents.
Here we go.
No,
Yeah.
so what they do is they give birth to about 30 offspring. Each one is the size of a grain of rice. But the female quoll only has 6 nipples, so the first 6 who are fastest latch on.
Come on, boys!
Yeah.
Thrash is fastest.
Yeah.
That's madness.
Like some insane reality show.
So you just sit like that in your living room.
The idea of you being a squirrel-sized marsupial.
A tremendous bite force. Almost equivalent to the Tasmanian devil, which can have sex whenever it wants.
Scientists are encouraging quolls to eat sausages rather than toads in the hole. Right, moving on. What is wrong with this zebra? Yes.
I'm out of range.
It's just like a
What?
mutant zebra with,
You
like,
see that?
the stripes.
It's an extinct subspecies
Oh, someone shouted
zebra.
out.
It is a quagga indeed.
But wait, didn't we already aren't the birds the quagga?
No, so we've had quolls and quackers and quilea. It's cute, darling. There's going to be a lot of animals beginning.
This feels like Dr. Seuss has moved in and started taking quackers and quaggers and quails.
And all of them have the most magnificent tails.
It's an extinct subspecies of zebra living.
Oh yeah, he can kick.
Stripy, but only down to the shoulders. It's been sort of described as a zebra who's forgotten his pajama bottoms.
Tell you an interesting thing about stripes. I went to school in Kenya, and we read early colonial books, and they theorized because they'd never seen any mixed race children.
Right.
So they imagined that a child would be born with stripes if a black person and a white person.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, no, it makes sense if you think about it. If you've never seen it, it's more logical. You know what I mean? Like these are people who thought the world was flat. Okay, but still, you know, that's what they
Too
thought.
far away.
That's appalling.
It's appalling.
Can I just apologise?
It's nice sand, but it's a bit like.
Anyway, what I love about the quagga is it's a really good example of humans sorting out the natural world. The quagga was made a protected species 3 years after it had already become extinct. And it was given legal protection by the Cape Town government in 1886, and the last one died in an Amsterdam zoo in 1883. So they were 3 years too late.
Wake up, Clifford. It is time for your Edam. No, he's dead.
Zookeeper.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
I thought it'd be called Clifford.
Oh, I see.
They have tried to reverse engineer a quagga. So in 1987, they tried to see if they could get one through selective breeding, and in fact, they successfully bred the plain hindquarters, but it is still genetically a zebra.
Did anybody not watch Jurassic Park?
Here's an interesting thing. For a long time, Grant Museum at the University College London believed it owned 2 zebra skeletons, but they re-examined them in 1972. They found one was a quagga, one was a donkey. So they didn't
Good job,
have
boys.
any skeletons. This is a fantastic thing. This is the actual skeleton of the quagga. Now, if you have a look at the back left leg, you can see that there is just a sort of a black outline. And that is because that particular leg is missing on this quagga. And this has an extraordinary story, and here to tell us about it is the curator of the Grant Museum, Tanis Davidson. Hello, Tanis. First of all, can I just say, fabulous museum and a rare museum, is it not, the Grant Museum?
Yes, we are the last University Zoological Museum in London.
And anybody can go and visit it?
Yes, we're open to the public Monday through Saturday, 1 till 5.
Okay, so these skeletons of quaggas, how many do you think there are in the world?
Well, it's one of our star specimens. We think there's only 7 quagga skeletons anywhere in the world.
Right.
And as far as I know, ours is the only one with a skull.
But it's missing a leg. What happened? Where the hell is the leg?
Well,
That's still
the first
recharging.
idea is that it had been loaned to the Royal College of Surgeons just before World War II. And of course, that building was bombed, so it was lost during the bombing. Another idea was that when the specimens were evacuated to Wales, it somehow became lost.
So it could still be in Wales?
It could be.
Okay, and you're holding a thing here now that this is what it would look like.
This is what it looks like.
Right. How would you know the difference between a quagga leg and a zebra leg?
It's very difficult.
Oh. So if you've got one, you may think that it is in fact a a zebra leg?
Yes, there is an idea that perhaps this might be in someone's collection if it was lost in Wales and maybe somebody thought it was a donkey leg or a horse leg.
But
so
you could compare it to your actual skeleton and see if it...
Yes, if somebody found something like this,
Yes.
we could, slot it in perfectly and it would just all become
Okay,
a whole specimen again.
I feel we are the show to help you with this.
Okay.
So, this is a Crime Watch appeal. If anyone has any information relating to the whereabouts of this missing quagga leg, please contact me. There is a reward. All expenses paid trip to the mountains of Kong. Thank you very much, Tanis. Fantastic. I love the idea. Somebody in Wales is going, I think there's one of those in the loft.
I know.
Anyway, what is the most offensive thing anyone could do with this? I actually have two, and it involves doing something with two of them.
Sandy, for me. Come on, both of them.
This summer, from Walt Disney Productions.
So you need both of them. You actually need to hold them like this.
Well, like boxing gloves.
It is exactly that they were used as boxing gloves. So, I know. So this is a queen conch, actually in the United States. It's called a conch, but the British say a conch. So about 3,000 years ago, the Mayans used them as boxing gloves, or more of a knuckle duster, possibly.
Damn, dude.
Worship of the rain god Charlock, and honestly, it resulted in quite a lot of bloodletting.
Yeah.
Which was apparently part of the ceremony. I don't know what they put on their heads. That is this.
I would imagine if you're in a culture that's hitting each other wearing conches as boxing gloves, you're going to invent the crash helmet really fast.
It is an extraordinary thing, the queen conch. Large species of sea snail. It lives in the Atlantic. It's incredibly strong, 10 times stronger than mother of pearl. So very few predators can get into this shell, except the nurse shark. And what it does is it doesn't actually crack the shell; it just sucks the conch. Just sucks the thing.
What a way to go.
It's sucked off by a shark.
That's the best production of West Side Story I ever saw.
Conch shell playing also has a tremendous tradition. So I have put a conch beside you. There's a tiny bit kind of cut off. And the Aztecs used to have a conch shell trumpet. It was called a quiquiztli, and the musicians who played them were called quiquizoini. And it's thought to have had the power to defeat the Aztec Lord of the Dead. Are you ready?
Get this.
It's actually a wonderful noise. Apparently, if you move your hand in and out of the aperture, that is the way in which you get. There's an annual conch blowing competition. It's held in Key West, Florida.
I bet there is.
In 2018, a 70-year-old woman called Mary Lou Smith, she won the women's division, and her fellow conch player, a man called Rick Grace, dropped to one knee. I know, it's a thing. People in Key West and in the Bahamas, they call themselves conches.
What am I supposed to do with mine?
I don't know. That looks like some Star Wars character.
I have not seen Solo. I am your father.
You will come to the seaside with me. I will buy you some chips and we will go for a walk.
I can't get it off, Sandy. I can't get it off.
I'm okay with that.
Well, what a way to finish your career.
Anyway, what does it mean if Quentin the Quahog squirts to the right? Ooh.
He votes Tory.
No, it's spelled like this. Have a look at this and see if this.
It's a shellfish, isn't it? It's a.
It is a,
like
it-
it's a
yes.
clam. Like a clam.
So where would you have you seen that? They are, but where else might you have seen Quahog? It's
Oh, it's Family Guy.
yeah. So it's set in a fictitious town, Family Guy of Quahog, Rhode Island. And February the 2nd in the United States is Groundhog Day, most of North America, but in Nantucket it is Quahog Day. And a quahog called Quentin is opened, and the direction that the water spurts from his shell predicts whether winter is over. So if it squirts to the left, 6 more weeks of winter. If it squirts to the right...
That should come with a trigger warning. I did not Google image that. I was not ready.
If it squirts to the right, then winter is over. Unfortunately, Quentin himself does not live to see the prediction come true because he's eaten immediately by the harbour master. That's the ceremony. So there's a new Quentin every year. Have you seen the Groundhog when they do the Groundhog Day thing? So that's Punxsutawney Phil. That's the name of the Groundhog.
It's the movie channels the other day when it was actually Groundhog Day. They ran Groundhog Day all day.
Oh. They've been doing it since 1887. I mean, Quahog Day's only been going for 10 years, but the Groundhog thing is hugely old. Although quahogs are very old in themselves. So in 2006, there were some researchers from Bangor University, and they opened up the shell of an ocean quahog, which they dredged from the coast of Iceland. Unfortunately, they had just killed the oldest animal known to science. It was 507 years old.
Oh,
you know, they were very upset. Paul Butler from the university said we had no idea it was that old before it was too late.
That'd be a good section to do on the show, when scientists are sometimes dicks.
There once was a clam from Nantucket. I'll let you finish that one in your own time. Now, who would want to kiss these lips?
I'm out of range.
Oh.
Well, go on then.
Another one of those would want to kiss them.
It's a freshwater fish found throughout North America. It's called a quillback sucker.
Oh.
So they've got these really thick, fleshy lips, and it allows their mouths to act like a vacuum. They can actually attach to surfaces by suction. But here is how nature
too
can
far
be
away.
rotter. They have a really tiny esophagus, so they've got this great, big, fantastic vacuum mouth, but they can only eat microscopic things like algae. I know, it just seems mean, doesn't it? Big mouth, tiny ability to swallow.
Leave it! Leave it! Leave it! Leave it! She set it up. We don't have to follow through.
I don't know what you're saying. So the oldest recorded quillback, 95 years old. It doesn't actually have quills on its back. It's a bit of a misnomer. It's that its dorsal fin is shaped a bit like a quill pen. Is the reason. They have a polygynandrous mating system. So what that means is 2 or more males will mate exclusively with 2 or more females. It's like they belong to a swingers club.
Dirty bastards.
Yeah. There is a quillback rockfish.
I bet there is.
And that has sharp venomous spines on its dorsal fin, and that protects it.
There he is.
That's really nice.
Your name's not down, you're not coming in.
So, most well-known quilled animal is...
The porcupine.
Porcupine. How does a porcupine make love?
Carefully.
Okay, 2 families of porcupines. There's Old World and New World. This thing that we're looking here, North American New World porcupine. So, sex takes about a minute, all right? And the female signals her interest by urinating and screaming. We've all been there. Don't want to alarm anybody. We're just about to have a look at porcupines.
Is it horizontal?
Well, I'm going to show you. So,
I'm too.
here's the thing. So, mating is...
Yes, carry on. Go on. Good.
Mating is spike-free.
Yeah,
So what happens is the female turns her back on the male. She arches her tail over her back. That's covering her quills and cushioning them.
Let's
have a
talk
quick.
more folk. What?
Let's-
Hey.
yeah. So there she's cushioning. But his member has got bristly barbs on the tip, and it usually points backwards in its sheath, but it's more like a sort of flick knife. It comes up like a sort of a. That's all I can say. Female looks like this when they're finished. There we are. Yeah.
Just put it under a hand dryer.
Here's a cute thing. Baby porcupines are called porcupets. I know. That's so.
You can't do 5 minutes of
I
some
know.
filth and then do cute baby names.
I was trying to move us along. What would a porcupine make of this?
nice place to have sex. Seems to be what we know about them.
You're not far off. So American porcupines are extremely good at climbing trees, and it is one of the ways in which a female might show her interest is to climb a tree. And then urinate and scream.
I've climbed a tree!
Lots of them spend their entire lives up a tree, and as a consequence, I love this, they make their own antibiotics in their quills because they keep falling out of the tree and impaling themselves on the quills. I mean, that's quite flexible and bend as the porcupine lands, but they can really razor sharp, the quills. They can penetrate skin unbelievably easily. But they're extremely painful to extract because they have backwards pointing barbs. So scientists are now trying to mimic this exact mechanism so we could develop better medical adhesives, so things like nicotine patches. You don't like to look at it.
It's a bit much.
Okay.
Can we have them having sex again?
Now, that brings us to the loving and soft environment that we call general ignorance. Fingers on buzzers, please. According to the traditional proverb, what killed the cat?
Oh my God!
Yes!
Curiosity.
The original version for over 260 years was that care killed the cat. Care meaning worry or sorrow, if you know your Shakespeare is in Much Ado. What courage, man! What though care killed a cat, thou hast metal enough in thee to kill care. In the mid-19th century, care was supposed by curiosity just what don't. The Russian version of this phrase is curious Barbara's nose was torn off at the market. I'm going to use in the future. I think it's rather better than curiosity killed the cat. Actually, cats are in lots of phrases, aren't they? The cat got the canary, cat got the cream.
Cat got the cream, yeah.
Cat's away, the mice will play. Cat's got your tongue. Anybody know why cat's got your tongue?
Because they're bastards.
Is that about the cat of nine tails?
It may be that. It could be as far back as, you know, the Middle East, from about 500 BC. Apparently liars had their tongues removed and fed to cats as a punishment.
If you
I'm out of range.
die
Yeah.
and you've got cats and no one finds you, after about 3 days, they will feed on your face.
Look at them. Those six there that
They'll
they're
eat.
going to do.
I am firm in my belief that is true because when Thomas Hardy died, the nation wanted him to be buried in Poets' Corner in Westminster Abbey, but his wife wanted him to be buried in Dorset. So it was arranged that his heart would be removed after his death and the body would go to Poets' Corner and the heart would be buried in Dorset. Anyway, the surgeon came, did it at the house. They weren't doing the burial of the heart till the next day, so he put it in a biscuit tin in the larder. And apparently, in the morning, the cat had managed to open the biscuit. Yes. Anyway, the cat eventually died. They buried the cat.
Up to its neck.
Yeah. The cats only eat their dead owners if they can't get out.
Yeah, oh yeah, they want to, but they're
No.
hungry.
Yeah. If you're going to die, leave the cat flap open.
Or on a fencing rod. He's going.
He's put a bastard mask on!
Curiously, it was care that killed
I need to
the
get
cat.
closer.
How can you tell if a bird is a songbird?
It will be singing.
I'm out of range.
It's got a record deal and it's on Spotify.
It's in Little Mix.
So here's the thing, not all songbirds sing. A songbird is defined as any bird that belongs to the passerine suborder. So basically...
Cilla Black, she was a songbird.
She was a songbird. You need to have 3 toes facing forward and 1 facing back. So they're perching...
What's it all about, Alfie?
The syrinx is the name for their songbox, and some are so developed that they can sing 2 notes at once really, really fast. There is a bird called the northern cardinal. It is able to sing more notes than is on the piano keyboard in 1/10 of a second. I know, that is really astonishing. But the definition of songbird is not about whether the birds actually sing, because, in fact, females, 29% of songbird species don't sing at all. So, according to the RSPB, birdsong is any sound used to attract a mate or to protect territory.
Okay.
Birdsong isn't just for songbirds. How would this animal protect itself?
By, rolling into a ball.
Lie down.
So here's the thing, there are 18 species of armadillo. Only 2 of them, the Brazilian 3-banded and the southern 3-banded, roll up into a ball. I was showing you a 6-banded armadillo, which does not do that.
It rolls into a square.
No, it does not go into a square, no.
They see Rubik's armadillo.
You were right, Alan. They very quickly dig a hole and get into it and just line it with only the armour showing.
Keep trying to get in that hole.
Well, he's trying to dig it.
But there's one already in there. Get your own hole.
But they have another marvellous way of escaping the predator. So the 9-banded armadillo can walk underwater. So it can hold its breath for as long as 6 minutes in the water. It can also make itself buoyant on the water by swallowing air and inflating its stomach and intestines.
It's Jesus.
It is a fantastic thing. Other facts about armadillos. What disease are they thought to be the only ones to get?
Leprosy. Wasn't us. You lost points on that. It's not so easy, is it? It's hard. It's difficult.
They can get leprosy, but so can mice and rats. And in fact, a 2016 study found that 1/3 of red squirrels in Britain carry leprosy.
Oh, damn.
It's the most appealing thing about me. Now I'm just hamster.
Right, this is true. I have terrible asthma. I do. Which of these dogs should I buy?
Toad-licking Labrador.
We're obsessed with the hallucinating
Gotta get
dog.
a toad-licking psychedelic Labrador.
So is it going to be not a hypoallergenic dog, oddly?
Well, oddly, there's no such thing, really. So there are all sorts of dogs that are described as hypoallergenic. There's no evidence to support that there are such
No,
things.
but I'm allergic to, and the wirier dogs that shed more, you tend to have more reactions.
It's the dog's saliva and it's the
Yeah.
dander or the flakes of dead skin. It is found in all dog breeds. There is some thought that if they shed less fur, they release less of this protein into the environment and so into the nostrils and stuff. I have to say it's not been proved. But to be clear about this, there's no evidence to support the idea of a totally hyperallergenic dog. There are dogs that perhaps might make your life a little.
Yeah, they're make it easier. I'd be fine with.
If you're allergic to dogs, get a budgie. But now the issue that's been dogging us, the score.
Oh, really?
The top dog with -5 is Deliso. And second place with -6, it's Phil. Actually, you're tied, you and Carrie, and also -6, so you're at which means in third place with -10, it's the audience. Alan, you've outdone yourself in final place with -56. Alan!
All right, here it is. This is it right here. This happens to me way more than not. I can't remember how many times. Like, maybe it's because it's just. There we go. Yes, I called it.
Any hound a porcupine nudges can't be blamed for harbouring grudges. I know one hound that laughed all winter at a porcupine that sat on a splinter. Thank you, good night.
Oh, shit. Oh, damn, I didn't hit this other one either.
Minister of Mirth, Ishan Akbar. The Sheikh of Shenanigans, John Barrowman. And shaking it all about, it's Alan Davis.
Hey!
Right, let's hear their shady, shaky signature tunes. Victoria goes. Ishan goes.
The shadow of your smile.
Nice. Really nice.
Oh, be careful, Ishan, you'll pull. John goes. I see you, baby. Name something that was invented in either Shaky Town or Shady Town.
I mean, I'm hoping this is a Shakin' Stevens question.
Oh!
Because I know a lot about him.
Why?
Because I was a big fan of him as a child. And you know the stuff you learn, well, as a teenager.
It's inexcusable.
It's not inexcusable. He was the best. Let me tell you, tomorrow is Shakin' Stevens' 73rd birthday.
No.
And I still would. Because...
Yes.
not only is he gorgeous, but when you're young, those kind of things go in. I know his birthday, favourite colour, indigo, real name, Michael Barrett, stage name, taken from his old school friend, Stephen van der Valk. He took the name.
Can I just say, I've no idea how we got here. That's all. I wanted to get to seismology and geology.
Is it something to do with the Shaky Town, something to do with like an earthquake machine?
It's exactly right. So modern seismology began in Comrie village, so it's in Perthshire. It's your part of the world, isn't it?
Up in Scotland?
Yep.
An earthquake machine in Scotland?
Yes, it's known as Shaky Toon. How's that?
That was brilliant.
Shaky Toon. So, incredible number of earthquakes, which you maybe wouldn't even think of in Scotland. The late 18th to the mid-19th century, thousands of earthquakes. There is a thing called the Highland Boundary Fault, and the position of this town is astride the fault. And it still records more and stronger tremors than anywhere else in Britain. It is officially Britain's shakiest town. And so they wanted to measure it, and it's the very first purpose-built seismology station in the world, known as Earthquake House. It's basically a hut in a field, if I'm honest with you.
It was like a public toilet.
I know. It's so British. Look what we've made.
But you open the door and you can see to the core of the earth.
It was instigated by the Comrie pioneers, basically the local postmaster. He devised one of the earliest measures for earthquakes. So a 10 was a quake that they had in October of 1839, which was felt over most of Scotland.
That's when the teapot raffles.
Yeah. So the Comrie scale is different scales of quake. So number 10, massive quake in 1839. And then number 1 I like is called just sensible. Yeah, just capable of being sensed.
It's a quiver.
Oh. It's more of a... Oh, we've all had those. So,
that's a different kind of earthquake.
Yes, that is, yeah. So, incredibly simple mechanism. You get 2 wooden beams. You get one going north and south, one going east and west like that. Cylinders of various sizes on top. And it took various sizes of quake to get the cylinders to fall off. It's not very complicated. And then Sod's Law stepped in. They built the earthquake house, and that coincided pretty much with the end of the great era of earthquakes in Comrie.
The earthquake, it just moved on.
Yeah,
they've
just
built something. Let's go.
What happened to the postman?
He is remembered for having done this. Not so remembered that I can tell you what his name was.
I reckon he invented it to explain why whenever he delivered things it was broken in the box.
Yes. But we now realise that this hut is of historic significance, and they've in fact updated it with modern equipment so sensitive it picked up the tsunami in Boxing Day 2004 in Indonesia. So that is...
So it wasn't related to the Richter scale?
Yeah, is that different?
Yes, the Richter scale is entirely different, yeah. So this was the first measure that we had. Right, so we've done Shaky Toon. Let's go to Shady Town. It is, I can tell you, also in Scotland. Any thoughts?
A place where the sun never shines?
Yes, darling, it is Lochranza on Arran. It is the UK's, possibly the world's, shadiest town. It gets fewer annual hours of sunshine than anywhere else because it sits on a sort of north-facing glen on a rainy island. It has no streetlights. I have to say I've been there, and it is extremely beautiful. But it is also the birthplace of modern geology. So we've got 2 places in Scotland that have done wonders for the study of the planet. The man is known as the father of modern geology, James Hutton. He visited in 1787. And he discovered, it was the very first example of what's called Hutton's unconformity. And I love this because I notice it and don't know what it is, but it's a junction between different types of rock formation. And he developed the idea that such formations could only have resulted over unimaginable time, so the Earth could not be young, as the Bible claimed. So I think we can just show you with some writing on the top. Can you see how you've got the ones that are the structures that are going up like that? Isn't it incredible? So he supported what was called Teutonism, which is that rocks are formed by volcanic action, against naturalism, that rocks were formed by the biblical flood. It's stunningly beautiful, I think, the way the Earth has shifted and moved like that. It's wonderful.
That's
anyway, he wrote a line in a 1788 paper, which is therefore, of our present inquiry is that we find no vestige of a beginning, no prospect of an end. It's really lovely. Modern seismology and geology were invented 60 miles from each other in Scotland. Describe the dark side
That smells.
of puppeteering.
Sure, everything that goes on underneath.
Below the dread.
What can I do for you?
Dread to think.
Alan, stop playing with your puppet under the table.
What do all the other puppets do when you put them down?
Specific kind of puppetry that we're thinking of, the dark side of puppetry.
Shadows?
What about Hank Marvin? Would you or wouldn't you?
I tell you what, Cliff Richard, I definitely would. Don't say anything. I would.
We're talking about a specific type of shadow puppetry. I've got some examples here. So it's Java, Indonesia.
Oh, wow.
What's on your
Asia.
mind?
It's a 1,000-year-old form of a shadow puppet theatre called wayang. So they often tell Hindu epics. The only thing is, the shows can last 8 or more hours, right?
Of course they can. I mean, if it's in a Bollywood film, they last 16 days.
Yes, exactly that.
I mean, all puppet shows feel like they've lasted.
Yes, no, I know.
The 9th hour of the Punch and Judy.
Unfortunately, it is a skill which is very slightly dying out. So some of the puppeteers have taken to performing Star Wars-themed shows, for example, to younger audiences, and they take some liberties. So then we've got Chewbacca and Han Solo.
I am all for that.
You think that's okay?
Love it. Still have my original Star Wars toys. I have a whole section of the garage devoted to Star Wars memorabilia. I even have my Star Wars pajama, pants. And I go to... Don't laugh at me! I go to bed dressed.
Where else is he
Star
going to keep
Wars.
his lightsaber at night?
I mean,
But yeah, massive Star Wars fan. I love that. I think that's a great
Do
idea.
you only have the trousers?
No, I have the top of it too, but I have one that's Darth Vader pants, and then on the top it says, "I'm your daddy."
That is just so wrong.
I've never watched Star Wars.
did you want to confess anything while we're doing this? Like turning it into therapy?
Well, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I think that seeing Star Wars is a
I think that's a
confession in
big
itself.
confession.
That is quite a big. Alan, did you have anything you wanted to reveal to the rest of the world?
Oh,
Actually, I asked you this once, and you told me you'd put it on Hampstead Heath or something.
That's right, and I'm not falling into this trap again.
Lovely. Anyway, they're now using wayang shows, which is what this puppetry is, to explain all sorts of things. They've used it for COVID-19. They use it for the destruction of coral reefs. I mean, all sorts of kind of educational stuff. It's quite complex, and traditionally, there's just one puppet master who's called a dalang, and they are highly respected. And it used to be that Indonesian children wanted to grow up and be a dalang. Usually boys would work the puppets, and girls would play the genda, which is a bit like a glockenspiel. The puppets, as you can see, are really intricate. And perversely, considering they're there to create shadows, they're very brightly painted.
Yeah, that is odd, isn't it?
Yes, this is just a
I've got
curiosity.
it ready. This is a move. Yas, queen! Snap. Yas, queen! Yas! Yas, queen! Yas, yas, yas! Yas, queen!
What's that thing called, darling? Is it called a GIF or whatever it is, where you a
Well,
TikTok thing?
you cluck.
Yeah. Could I say something and then you just stand behind me going, "Yes, queen!
Yes, queen!
I love that.
I'll do a soundbite for you. You can use it.
Yes, please. I'd like that very much.
I really enjoyed the talk about social media there. That was cute. That was good.
I genuinely have no idea what I do.
Can I do a GIF on TikTok? No, you can't, but yeah.
I don't do any of it. Do you do it, darling? You do all that social
No.
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 I think you'd be
TikTok
great at it.
it's a dancing thing.
You could do a musical thing which is like wood, wooden, wood, wood, wooden, wood.
Tell me you want to sleep with Shaky Stevens without telling me you want to sleep with Shaky Stevens.
And the puppeteer, it's improv. They improvise most of the play.
So they come out and say, so can someone give me an object? An object situation, then let's have a feeling, let's have an emotion.
Unusual occupation. Let's go for that.
Gynecologist!
Can I tell you this about when I first took my daughter to a puppet show? I found this very, very annoying. The puppeteer came out and had the puppets and spoke to the audience, and I wanted to say, look, fine, after the age of about 30. Magnificent, break it down, deconstruct it. See, my child is 3. She thinks it's just bring it up behind a hay bale.
It's fine.
Let it be a talking creature. I used to watch Rainbow, I don't know if you remember that show. I was 15 before I wondered why Zippy was always behind something. They're having a thing. He's behind a bush. Oh, they're in the kitchen. He's behind the washing machine. Never asked the question.
Have you ever worked with the Muppets?
I have.
Yeah, because it's amazing to be like with Kermit or Miss Piggy or anyone. It's very difficult not to reference them if you don't.
But Kermit's the weirdest one because it's like on his head. It's on his head, and then he's working the hands like that. And
I still would.
Of course.
Shall we see if we can revive a traditional shadow puppet art form ourselves?
Uh-oh.
Shadowgraphy is the art of making shadow shapes with your hands. I'll just show you the sort of shapes that we're looking for, okay? So there's a wolf, and there's a goat, and there's a swan, and a rabbit, okay? And I want you to see if you can recreate those. So you two go behind the screen, and you two try and guess which ones that they are doing.
Oh, don't go behind the screen and then what's going to happen?
I know, you never know. Right. Okay.
Ishan, you've got such tiny hands. Oh, look at that!
Your partner.
Right. I don't know, do you think Ishan's doing?
Is it a jellyfish?
I don't know.
Ishan's telling us where to go, I think.
It's something.
Is that right?
It's a frog with an enormous vulva.
That's a rabbit. Is it or a squirrel?
Squirrel?
A squirrel? Is it a rabbit?
Is it a rabbit?
What is it?
Being attacked! Being attacked!
That's Rod's holding an emu.
You've got a swan with a hand coming out his arse. What is this? The thumb is not working for me.
What do you mean the swan isn't working for you?
Okay, well, make
Great
it
to meet you.
speak or eat or something. So there we go. Well done. Let's have a go at you two having a go. Off you go around the screen.
Luckily, I'm known for my knockabout physical comedy.
I can't wait to see this.
We're gonna have a massive turn-in too. This is gonna be nice.
Darling, it's
not the
perspective.
size.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Okay, here we go. Alan's doing a spider.
It looks like a is it
Ooh.
a duck?
Oh, Victoria's very good. That's very good. Yeah, I literally don't know.
I don't know what mine is.
What is
Oh, hang on a minute. It's a bit more bent. And as for the fingers.
Yeah.
Alan's looks like a tapeworm.
Yeah. What is that?
It's exploding out of John Hurt's. It's a goat.
It's a goat.
It's a goat.
Very well done.
Yeah.
Goat.
Who knew that you had wolf in you?
I think I've made that perfectly clear.
Now, what's shady and two-dimensional about this guy? So, if I give you his name, it may help. He was the French Minister of Finance for just 8 months under Louis XV. He was called Etienne de Silhouette.
Is that why silhouette was he thought of as a shadowy figure?
It's why shadow portraits, you know the portraits where you just get a sort of outline person. Yes. They're known as silhouettes, and it is because his normal explanation, his austerity policies, which basically caused his name to be associated with general thriftiness. And these were cheaper portraits rather than world portraits. I think they're very beautiful, but it's not for me to say. We have an expert with us. Please welcome master silhouettist Charles Burns. There he is. Charles, tell me, how did you learn to be a silhouettist? How did that happen?
When I left art college, I worked for a number of years as a street portrait artist in Covent Garden and drawing portraits originally, and then I started cutting silhouettes more or less as a sideline, but they completely took over my life.
They became very popular in Europe when they came over, didn't they, from France?
They did. They became very popular throughout the 18th and early 19th centuries, but they died out really when photography was invented and all the silhouette artists went out of business.
Which I think is a great shame. In fact, studios used to be equipped sometimes with a physionotrace.
That's the word you're looking for.
Yes.
The physionotrace was like an arm, like a metal bar, which used to be passed around someone's profile. And at the other end of the bar was a little pencil, which on a small piece of paper would draw upside down and in reverse their profile.
But you don't do anything.
No, I rely entirely on a pair of scissors.
Pair of scissors
and a technique I call cut and hope.
Okay, I like that. So you're going to do our silhouettes while we're carrying on chatting. So can I get you to sit and carry on?
I shall go and explore your
cutting
profile.
away. Oh, okay. Imagine you're on a coin. While he's cutting away, I can tell you there was even an automaton called Prosoprographus. So prosopon is Greek for face. And it was set up in the 1820s on the Strand in London by a silhouette artist called Charles Hervé. And it was a sort of small robotic figure sitting on a box with a tablet in one hand and a stylus in the other. And it drew an outline of your face, which could then be cut into a silhouette.
I can't cast
We have
that
no idea
yet.
how the automaton
That spell
worked,
isn't
although
ready yet.
that some visitors reported seeing human eyes behind the curtain. So we are assuming there was a human inside. Have a quick look at this and tell me what you see here.
Two faces looking at each other.
Two faces look at each other?
I can see both. I see two faces or a vase.
Or a vase. What do you see, Victoria?
Shaken Stephen.
A sort of goblet or two people.
Yeah.
It is, in fact, known as Rubin's vase. It's a Danish psychologist, Edgar Rubin, 1915. And it's very interesting how the brain decides what is an object and what is the background. So an object sometimes has a short colour, it will have visual cues, maybe it's closer, it gives you an emotional response. If you remove all of those things, the brain cannot consistently distinguish the object from the background. So depending on how we look at it, you might think it's a face immediately, you might think it's a vase immediately.
Really?
Yeah. There are two British artists, Tim Noble and Sue Webster. They developed a technique and they create silhouettes from heaps of junk. They
Quite the
started working
distance.
in 1997. This is one of their pieces that was at the Royal Academy. So that's just junk. It's old wood and rusty tools and toilet roll and all sorts of things. And that's them in silhouette.
That is
amazing.
I think it's one of the best things I've ever seen.
People are so creative. I mean, as an Asian kid growing up, imagine if I told my dad, Dad, I want to do stuff with rubbish and make silhouettes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'd be like, what are you talking about? Just go on QI.
Yeah, exactly. Don't even need to make silhouettes. Although tonight we can make rubbish and silhouettes. Because I think Charles is finished, darling. Are you going to reveal for us?
I can reveal for you, yes.
All right, so we'll have Victoria first.
Okay, there she is.
There we are. There you are.
Wow.
Oh.
Just take a couple of inches off the nose. Just bring
Right, should we do Alan?
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's great.
Look at the little hair detail at the top. Amazing.
Ishan?
As long as I don't look like rubbish in this one.
Right.
I look so much older.
But the glasses are so brilliant.
Yeah, the glasses.
So clever. Right, Johnny, let's try you, darling. Oh, you handsome devil.
So handsome.
That's brilliant.
You're so handsome, even as a cutout.
Wow, I think those are brilliant.
So clever. You're literally just doing that with a pair of scissors.
Yes, I
That's
have.
amazing.
Yes. A freehand cut with scissors.
I can't even cut a straight line on wrapping paper.
Straight lines are much harder.
I think you're a secret Doctor Who. You've got the coat, you've got the look, you're a secret doctor.
Yeah, this contains everything I need.
See?
Charles, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Right. What's a McKinley grip? So the whole show is shade and shake.
A shaky grip.
A shaky grip?
Yes.
So what do? We shake parts of our body, we shake...
The only McKinley that I know is William McKinley, the President of the United States.
Absolutely right, is the McKinley grip, yeah.
He was assassinated.
Yes, he was, yeah.
I don't know if he was a Mason or whatever, but I know he's a Republican. So there might have been a secret handshake?
It wasn't a secret, it was that he was fantastically good at shaking hands. There was a tradition throughout the 19th century in the United States that if anybody wanted to, they could turn up at the White House on New Year's Day and shake the president's hand. And President McKinley was in office 1897 to 1901. He was an enthusiastic handshaker, said to have once shaken 5,000 hands in a single session. But it had to be quick, so he developed something called the McKinley grip. What you do is you give a beaming smile, grab somebody's hand before they reach out to take it, you give a swift squeeze. In your other hand, you take hold of the elbow and push them away.
Oh, Oh, yeah.
This was
Okay.
the McKinley grip.
Yeah.
Just get rid of them like
What
that.
a metaphor for
I don't have
all
a target.
social interaction.
I know, isn't it?
Hysterical.
Come here, go away.
But you're quite right. He was engaged in just such a thing when he was murdered. September the 6th, 1901, he was in Buffalo, New York at the Pan American Exposition when an anarchist called Leon Czolgosz turned up and he had his right hand covered with a handkerchief. And the president thought he had some injury or other. But in fact, he shot him point blank. He died of infection about 8 days later. Now, here's the thing. We shake hands. We also shake heads. I think we've said this before on this show, Alan. Some countries, like Bulgaria, they shake for yes and nod for no. So we're going to try a little experiment. I'm going to ask you a series of quick-fire questions with yes or no answers, right? You have to answer immediately, but whatever answer you give with your voice, you have to give the opposite with your head. Okay?
I'm
and
out of
I'll
Ray.
ping my pinger if you get it wrong. Does everybody understand?
You pinging your pinger?
No, I'm just asking.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
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 Trying to catch you out. That's
Yes.
all. Okay, all right, ready. John, was the first James Bond film the one about the Doctor?
Yes.
That's right. Isn't
Is it right?
Yes. What
Yes,
was the name of the
Dr.
Doctor?
No.
Ishan, do you know what band featured the keyboard player Rick Wakeman?
No.
Don't know?
No.
Okay.
But it's...
It is.
It's
Yes.
The band is called Yes.
Yes is the band.
But you didn't know.
No.
This would be a great drinking game.
Victoria, do you know what it means when you nod?
yes, I know what it means. Or yes, I know what it means.
Alan, have you stopped kicking the dog?
Yes, I never kick the dog.
Yeah, it's quite complicated. It's quite weird. Nobody knows why the Bulgarians do it the other way around. So there's a folk tale that they were forced to change their religion by invaders, and so they pretended no meant yes when they were interrogated about their faith. It's a bit like crossing your fingers when you tell a lie.
I did a movie in Bulgaria, and I was diving in the movie, and that's part of the reason I also got the movie, because I'm a registered diver. They said I had to go in this big tank, and I was given a small canister with oxygen in it. I would breathe, put the oxygen away, then escape from the tank. But I went down and I said to the guy, "Is it unlocked?" And he went, "Yes." I'm like, "I'm not going down." And he's like, "Is it locked?" "Yes, it is."
What was the film then?
Oh, you don't want to know.
No, I really want to see it.
It's called Shark Attack 3 Megalodon.
Oh my.
All I'll say is it bought me my first place.
There's an even more apparently ambiguous, is the head bobble. So this is a form of non-verbal communication. It's commonly found in India, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. So according to...
Hi, guys.
Yeah. I'm looking at John. According to a behaviorist from Tamil Nadu, Pradeep Chakravarti, it may have evolved to give a deliberately ambiguous signal. So it's a sort of, you can disagree with somebody while not saying anything. Is
That's
that
it, yeah.
Is that the head bobble?
It means yes, no, maybe it means everything. They
Okay.
do it in Bangladesh as well.
Right, but you're being non-committal, is that it?
Yeah, and you're
Just do it and
the move is more from the chin, actually,
Right.
so it's just a...
Yes, queen.
But yeah, because my parents would use it as well with me every time when I was like, "Oh, Mum, can I go out with my friends?" She'd be like, "Yeah, no, maybe."
Yeah,
I
so you've no
went
idea.
to India one time, and lots of people did that, and it's something that's very non-confrontational as well.
Yeah.
It's sort of diffusing thing.
I quite like it.
I mean, the last time I was on, I talked about Bollywood dancing and doing it again. But this neck move is very clearly kind of like a no, isn't it? I mean, you know it's a no.
Well, I would, in the gay world, we disagree with that's like, get over here.
That is great.
Yes, queen.
Yes. No.
Isn't any gesture that isn't that?
I'll do gay Bollywood.
You do get yeah, so the head bobble, the head bobble is from the chin.
From the chin.
It's really hard.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
it
good,
is.
actually, Alan. That's a good one.
It's a very relaxed thing.
No, really no.
I mean, I look like I'm trying to decide which kind of herring to have for dinner. Right. Here's a pretty shady way to carry on. What's the best way to sabotage a sewage system?
You need something?
for the Alliance.
Begins with S, I'm going to say.
S?
Yes.
Oh, I was going to say... Yeah.
Shit!
I was not going to say that. There you go.
What were you going to say?
Similar to that, let me have a drunken kebab.
Right, and that would be the way forward.
Be careful.
Have you ever been sabotaged? Anything ever happened to you? Speaking of shit, and you've pooped in Hampstead Heath. No.
It's well known.
How is it still coming up?
I was doing
a number of years ago now.
Oh, it's still there.
Yeah.
Since lockdown, most of Hampstead's gone at least once on the heath.
Yeah, that's
Since
true.
they shut all the toilets.
True. It's now called Wild Toilet.
Is it?
Yeah.
I was doing a show in Nashville, Tennessee, where I was dressed in white polyester. It was in the 80s, and I was qualified. Yeah. And I was doing a number I called "I Got Rhythm," and I felt like a little rumble in my tummy, and I thought, just gonna start, and I just felt heat. Heat in my polyester white pants.
Oh.
I kept kicking. And I was trying to get off stage, still kicking, still the professional, still singing and kicking.
Yes.
I was spraying the audience.
Oh!
Brilliant.
I literally got off stage and my understudy was laughing backstage. He put X-Lax.
No.
Yeah, which is a laxative in my drinking water. And I literally emptied my bowels emptied on stage in my pants, in my white polyester.
And the front row.
Still felt fabulous, and the front row knew about it. That was really a shitty performance.
Can we get a silhouette of that?
That might be the worst thing I've ever heard.
Anyway, none of that has anything to do with the arts. In 1944, the U.S. Office of Strategic Services, that's the sort of predecessor organization to the CIA, produced this, and it's a simple sabotage field manual, and it's a guide to a range of different ways where you can undermine the enemy's their economy, their morale, their military offensiveness, and so on. And it's fantastic in the scope of stuff in this rather narrow book, demolishing bridges, how to cause trouble, quarrels on public transport, that kind of thing. So here's how to sabotage a lavatory. So what you do is you saturate a sponge, okay, with a thick starch or sugar solution, right? You squeeze it tightly until it is a ball. You wrap it with string to keep to the ball, and then you let it dry. And once it is dry, you remove the string and you flush it down the lavatory. The sponge will gradually expand.
Talk to me.
Back to its
Watch your
normal
back.
size, and it will entirely plug
Be good.
the sewage system.
And why would you want to do
To
that?
if you want to mess with your enemy, mess with their toilets. Yeah. I mean, it's really simple. It's
just shit straight on their faces from the stage.
Exactly.
You know, cut out the middleman.
So some of the stuff they suggest, it's like schoolboy pranks in here.
Yeah.
But it's just stuff that the enemy would go, oh, now the toilets are backed up in the main office. It's just annoying. So let's try the lighting system in a factory. How would you sabotage the lighting system in a factory?
Cut a wire.
No, it's got to be more subtle than that, you see. So what you do is you turn the lights off,
Off with you.
unscrew a light bulb, put a coin into the socket, put the light bulb back in
You got
again.
my
As soon as
attention.
somebody turns it
Be
on,
good.
the whole system will blow.
Off with you.
I mean, it's...
I'm going to do that.
Don't, because it's terrible.
Watch your back.
In the day would have been making an absolute...
Well
Yeah,
met.
just
Keep
stick a
your
coin
feet
in
on the
it.
I
ground.
was a sponge, I was a coin.
Yeah.
He's
Talk
charging
to me.
600 quid.
Be
What
good.
about the
Off
petrol
with
tank
you.
of a vehicle?
Oh, that's sugar.
Here there.
You can do
Watch
sugar
your
or
back.
urinate in it. You haven't got sugar.
Urine?
Yeah, just wee in it. I don't know why I'm giving all this away. Please don't do
Be
any of
good.
it.
Well, I've heard of them putting like a potato
Interest
in
you
the
on a pint?
exhaust.
Watch your back.
I like this, the one in here
Off
that I
with
think would
you.
only work in Britain. To start an argument on a train, if you work for the railway, issue 2 tickets for the same seat.
Ah, yes.
That's every day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Moving on. What use are shadows anyway?
Oh, look at them.
It's nothing to do with music. It is everything to do with what would you use a shadow for?
Discipline.
What?
Is that what they called the cane in your school? The shadow.
No, so...
You will see the shadow, my friend.
Oh, they're coming. No. When I was about 6 or 7 years old, I used to go to mosque. And before we used to go for the evening prayers at sunset, we'd hang out in the park because we were cool young Muslim boys. And on one particular day, one of the kids said, the longer your shadow is, the more sin you've committed. so you're going to go to hell. And of course, as the sun was setting, our shadows get longer, and you'd see 6 or 7 of us just running around trying to get the shadow as small as possible.
That's so sweet.
And then I found bacon, so...
Yeah.
Maybe you could use your shadow to work out what time it is.
It is to do with time. So I have here, for example, a pocket
Interesting, Pine.
sundial. And if you
Watch
raise
your
up
back.
this
Iron
here,
Forge.
you would be able to tell the time. I mean, just wear a watch is the other way of doing it. But this is an old way of doing it, because it's got a compass and a shadow. The thing about this is it would give a very crude approximation of the time. The larger it is, the more accurate it's going to be. The one that possibly would give you the best time, 22.6 meters, that's about 75 foot high, Virat Samrat Yantra. It's the great king of instruments in Jaipur. It was completed in 1734, and it gives the time accurate to 2 seconds.
Wow. Wow.
I know, it's amazing. So the shadow moves at a millimeter per second. It's fast enough to see. I think that's incredible. And then the shadow of the even taller sundial bridge, that's over the Sacramento River in Redding in California, moves at 5 millimeters per second.
Wow.
It's a stunning thing.
That one in Sacramento?
Yeah. Well, it's in Redding, California. It's the Sacramento River. Smaller, but no less impressive, and I certainly would like one for the garden, were the sundial cannons. This is a sort of niche accessory from 17th to 19th century. So it's a sundial with a magnifying glass positioned on it to concentrate the sun's rays at midday, so that it would go down onto some gunpowder and fire a cannon. Who doesn't want one of those?
You wouldn't want to be standing in front of it.
Yeah.
No. There was one in the Palais Royal in Paris. We used to go at midday, we used to go and watch. And the only one remaining that's functioning is the sun cannon in Atvidaberg in Sweden. You can use shadows to power a digital watch. So the scientists at the University of Singapore have unveiled their shadow effect energy generator. And when it's completely in shadow or fully in light, it produces a very low amount of electricity, nothing at all. And it's the contrast between shadow and light that makes it work. And it generates enough current to power a digital watch. Why is it best to weigh yourself in the dark?
So you don't know how much you've eaten. When you say better, it gives you the reading.
It does. So light falling onto a surface exerts a tiny amount of pressure.
That's what it is.
I know, you would think. Wouldn't it? Yes.
Your bathroom's too bright.
Tiny amount of pressure. If you remove light from a surface, you remove that tiny amount of pressure. And this pressure can be used to power spacecraft. So the Japanese Icaros is a spacecraft. It was launched in May 2010.
Icarus? That is not a spacecraft I'd get on.
It stands for the Interplanetary Kite Craft Accelerated by Radiation of the Sun. Of course. It's an acronym. It has a 46-foot square sail, which uses light pressure plus the solar wind as its means of propulsion.
Wow.
I know.
It's amazing.
Because you only need a small amount of power. There's no resistance in space. So it's enough. And so we descend into the shadowy realm of shaky misunderstandings that we call general ignorance, fingers
Off
and
with you.
I'm looking forward to my summer holiday. How can I prepare to get a nice deep suntan without burning?
Sun lotion? Do you know?
Watch your back.
Probably the very correct answer, my darling. Yes. People used to think that the idea was to lay down a sort of base tan, possibly in a tanning salon or something. And it's a widespread thought, but it is entirely wrong. The only way you can protect yourself is with suntan lotion.
Or clothes.
Clothes. Or you and I would just sit in the shade, wouldn't we, Alan?
Drinking heavily.
So they wanted to demonstrate this, so they needed some skin that had zero exposure
No.
to the sun, so they chose British bottoms. Yeah. And they were exposed to simulated sunlight.
Okay, conditions at the center of the earth.
Can I just say
Be
what
good.
an awful representation of the United States of America that picture is?
Yeah. It's not pretty, is it?
No.
Would you or wouldn't you?
Salutations! Daylight's burning.
I think he looks all right.
Right.
Anyway.
Greetings. Be seeing you.
2 weeks they spent with simulated sunlight on naked buttocks, and the resulting tan gave them a tiny bit of protection. Basically, it meant you could spend an extra 10 minutes in the sun. And tanning parlor sunbeds are really...
You got my attention. Off with you.
Indeed.
Watch your back.
420,000 cases of skin cancer a year in the US alone.
Be good.
Yeah. If you go to an indoor tanning place,
Off
you
with
think
you.
that's going to save you from getting skin cancer because you've got a base tan. Probably it's going to exacerbate
Be good.
the chances of getting skin cancer.
Off with you.
Think you're safe, so you think you might have this on.
And I'm from Essex, so this is a good public service message.
Yes, darling, and you're the one who said suntan lotion.
Yeah, I did.
Well done, you. Now, why do you call it the dark side of the moon?
It's too far away.
Oh, the clangers, look at them.
Because it's the title of the album.
Which album, Dan?
The Pink Floyd album.
Okay, in the words of Pink Floyd, there is no dark side of the moon. The reason we can't see the far side of the moon is that the moon is tidally locked to the Earth. So let me show you.
Oh, I love a visual.
Oh, okay. So here is the moon, and you can see that it is facing towards the Earth.
You can't see that arrow, can you? Because where we are on Earth, we just see the point of it, and it's invisible.
Yeah,
but it is there.
So if
You
you
got
look
my
at the
attention.
moon, because of the way the moon orbits the Earth, we only ever see one side of it. But that doesn't mean that
See you
the
soon.
unseen side is always dark, because the moon is orbiting the Earth, and they are both orbiting the sun. So all the sides of the moon end up facing the sun at various times. There are bits of the moon which are in permanent darkness. There's a sort of crater of eternal darkness. It's a bit like the reason why La Granza is Shady Town when we started.
Crater of eternal darkness. I'm going to call my house that. Hello, Crater of Eternal Darkness. Yes, we deliver.
Great name for a restaurant. It's a place called the Shackleton Crater. It's at the moon's south pole, and it receives no sunlight because it's so deep and so close to the pole. The opposite of this is the peak of eternal light, which is what I'm going to call my house. Somewhere where there's always sunlight, and we haven't found that yet on the moon. Oddly enough, the rim of the Shackleton Crater gets pretty close. It's sunny 94% of the time, but the actual crater itself is not at all. Now, pause for thought. What happens to your pores in a sauna?
When they warm up, do they open up? And when it's cold, they close up?
Yep. Okay, so here's the thing. Pores allow us to sweat, and so that regulates body temperature. And they don't have muscles. They cannot open and close. So if you want to use warm water, for example, that cleans your pores. It doesn't change their size at all.
Okay.
They do and can increase in size as you age, but it has nothing to do with your washing regime.
I love watching videos on, no, not, that's another
Keychain!
You know how people watch, like, hear certain sounds and it soothes them and it calms them? I watch videos of people popping pimples.
What?
They're very popular.
And
I watch them too.
But why would you watch? Why would you watch that?
I don't know. I don't understand it myself, but I found out just by one night going. I watched there's a show called Dr. Pimple Popper.
Yes.
Oh my
I thought I'm gonna search this on YouTube, and oh my God, it's a whole community.
Do you never pick your spots or blackheads?
I don't have spots or blackheads. I'm 4,000 years old. The pores are always with us, sadly. Now, this is exciting. We've done a bit of research on who is in line for the throne. And we know the correct answer to this question. Which of you on this panel is closest to inheriting the crown?
I look good.
I think we all deserve a yes, queen.
Yes!
I love it. I'm a classy.
It must be Alan. Well, it must be. Explain how it's not Alan.
Here's the truth of it, it's none of us.
No, it can't be none of us. You said who's the closest.
Yeah,
No, we could all be far away.
Nobody.
But somebody. No.
Nobody. Most people think that we're all somehow in line to the throne eventually, even if you're number 52 million, 14 or whatever. In fact, the list of succession is extremely limited. You have to be a direct descendant of Princess Sophia Electress of Hanover, who was born in The Hague in 1630.
Oh, great Granny Sophia. That's where the family hair began.
It could be.
This was painted just a week after she shat on Hampstead Heath.
Do you not think it's weird that she looks surprised to be having her portrait done? She go, "Ooh,
I like
really?"
the look of her.
She's rather fun. She was the granddaughter of James I, so she was chosen as heir to the throne to ensure a Protestant lineage in the event that William or Queen Anne died without issue. And it was to block the old pretender James Stuart, who was a Catholic. Unfortunately, she died 2 months before she was due to take over, so we got her son, George I. And it's a shame, because she was extraordinary. She spoke 5 languages, she was educated in theology, history, mathematics, and law. She was buried in the Bergaden Mausoleum in Hanover, and ironically, considering that all British royalty is descended from her, that was was almost completely destroyed by Allied bombers during World War II. Buckingham Palace has never published a full record of Sophia's descendants, but 2 American men did a full investigation. And they both independently found that the last person in line to the throne, the 4,973rd, is a German pain therapist.
How are you?
Karen Vogel.
A German pain therapist?
Yeah.
Try typing that into Google.
I know.
See you soon.
Which brings us to the scores. Looking distinctly shaky in last place with -7. It's Alan! Savannah alike for species starting with S. And look what we've found already. A snake in the grass, Josh Widdicombe. The seal of approval, Callie Beaton. The squid pro quo, Jamali Maddox. And he doesn't give a shih tzu, Alan Davis. Let's hear their calls of the wild. Josh goes. Callie goes. Jamali goes. Wow. Alan goes. Oh, it's supposed to be a snail. What's the world's second
You got my attention.
deadliest hunter?
Watch your back.
See you soon.
How are you? What's on your mind? Off with you.
Terrible asthma, which of course you do have.
Which I do have.
Interest you on a pint?
What was the question?
What's the
Be
world's
good.
second
Watch your
deadliest
back.
hunter? I can
Off
tell you what
with
the first
you.
is if that's helpful.
Be
to
good.
you.
Yeah, what is the first then?
Okay, so we did it on the O
Watch
series.
your
At the
back.
highest kill rate in nature, it has a 95% success rate.
Is it an ostrich?
Be good.
An ostrich?
Callie, otter. It's otter.
Notoriously dangerous.
Is it an okapi?
No, weird, it doesn't even
Octopus.
know.
Hippo?
No.
Is it a mosquito?
It's a dragonfly.
Oh, jeez.
It's a dragonfly.
And yet I went through all animals.
Yeah. It was good, though, to get a list going there. I like that. Hippo is very dangerous, darling. Very, very dangerous. Yeah.
Thank you for telling me that, so I don't feel silly.
Yeah.
You're like, no, it's a good answer, but it's not the right one.
The weird thing about hippos is that they are tremendous killers, but they're vegetarian.
Like me.
That is really hiding in plain sight. I'm a killer. I'm a killer. Vegetarian. Yeah. Vegetarian, did you know?
I wouldn't be surprised if you turned into a serial killer, darling. You look so weak from being a vegetarian.
No, it's the asthma that's made me
Oh, is that
weak.
what it is?
They're going in hard on your health.
It'll be awful, won't it, if I don't make it to broadcast?
Yeah.
Right, any more for any more? Dragonfly, that's the first one.
Hunters, bird of prey.
It's the dwarf seahorse.
Of course.
The dwarf seahorse.
I know. They're about 2 inches large. Kill 90% of the time that they try to catch some prey. Most fish of a similar size, they have about a 30 to 40% success rate. And there doesn't seem to be a marine predator with a better success rate. They hunt something called copepods. So they're tiny little crustaceans, which are usually excellent at escaping because they can swim more than 500 body lengths per second, right? That's the equivalent of me swimming at 2,700 kilometers per hour, as opposed to what I actually do, which is look like the Queen Mary coming slowly into port. And they also have some of the fastest reactions in nature. So dwarf seahorses, some of the slowest swimmers in the world, top speed about 5 foot an hour.
Is that up or down? Because in the aquarium, they're in a tube, aren't they?
Yeah, but they can do anything. Up, down, sideways, whatever. Yeah, they're amazing.
They're just going to have Sandy doing that on a GIF.
Yeah. The key to their hunting success is their sort of horsey heads. And what it does, it allows them to sneak up on their prey. So copepods know that there's a predator because they sense the disturbance in the water, but the seahorse's head perfectly is formed to create no wake immediately above and in front of the nose, and they sort of sidle up. They're like ninjas. They sidle up to the copepod, and it doesn't even notice they can be like a millimetre away, and then the head snaps up, and at the same time they suck inwards and they swallow the creature. We can show you this. It looks so casual. They're just casually going along, and there's a gone.
What?
Yeah.
So you're saying that little thing can't see it? Because I think I would see a seahorse coming.
Yeah. It's coming up from behind. I think you might.
Yeah, even from behind, I'd be like, is that a seahorse? That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Seems unfair. Seems like someone should be behind with some coconuts going. Shut up! I'm hunting the time to chase this bug.
They have terrific eyesight, which also helps them. I'd like this. Their eyes move independently.
Of each other?
Of each other, yeah. So one can look forwards and one can look backwards.
It's like my great auntie Joan.
She was one of the great hunters as well, wasn't she?
Oh, stories in our family.
An adult seahorse needs about 30 to 50 meals a day.
Is it because they're eating the little things?
Yes, because it's too small, darling, frankly, isn't it? You know.
So why don't you eat something bigger?
I don't know what's wrong with them.
Because I think to be like the second most deadliest thing, it should expand a bit.
Yeah.
Because when you said the second most deadliest thing, I'm a little bit disappointed.
Are you?
I agree, because what they've done is they've chosen to keep their stats up.
Yeah.
They're like a boxer that won't fight the big boxers, aren't they?
Exactly.
No, they are just going for the little guy, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that's it.
But they are extraordinary swimmers. The trouble is that it takes a lot of effort. They have to beat that dorsal fin 30 to 70 times per second in order to propel themselves along. And if they're in a stormy sea or whatever, they can easily die of exhaustion.
The males have the babies, don't they?
They do. They're unique in that. Males are the ones that give birth. But what I like about them, Callie, they are sickeningly romantic.
Are they?
Oh, once they've chosen a mate for the breeding season, they come together each morning and they perform the courtship dance, which apparently strengthens their bond, and then they travel around, look, with their tails entwined.
With a pair of notes.
Yes. And then they change colour as they go. They can mimic their surroundings by changing their colour, but they also do it as part of the courtship dance. I think it's lovely. And then, as you said, the male gives birth to the young, up to 2,000 of them, and then the offspring, look at the offspring.
You'd think they'd eat one of those in a heartbeat.
Yeah. But they're left to fend for themselves, and then within a few hours, they're ready to mate again.
And then they'll visit.
There's no childcare.
It'd be great if humans did that, wouldn't it? You'd be like, there you go. No homeschooling of the seahorses. You said they're very romantic just for the mating season, though? Because anyone could be romantic for the mating season, couldn't they? It's like when you've got to do years of mating season.
One might be gripping incredibly hard against the other one's will.
Saying you're
like
not
a
going
hostage
away.
situation.
That looks quite passive-aggressive, those two. They've had an argument.
The sea's slowest swimmer is also its deadliest predator. What's all legs and no trousers, or anything else very much? Ooh.
It sounds like my daughter on Instagram, my teenage daughter.
A lot of legs and no trousers.
Yeah, they do a lot of that, don't
Posing.
they? Yeah.
Jamal is nodding, though.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, no, I've heard.
Have you?
No, that might be
I've heard that there are women posing like that on Instagram.
Really?
I've never investigated. I don't even have Instagram. Whatever. Be quiet. No.
Sea spider.
Sea spider.
Sea spider. They are almost all leg. There's some. Look at these.
Ooh.
They are sometimes known as nobodies. I mean, they do actually have bodies, and they have a brain and a mouth and so on. They suck their prey through a proboscis, but the guts are in the legs, the genitals are in the legs, they breathe through their legs, and the males, this is again unusual, look after fertilized eggs by strapping them to their legs. There they are, like that. The main problem is that they have such long legs, and I sympathize with this. Yeah. I do. I've had this happen to me at the seaside. Sometimes barnacles and algae attach themselves. And that slows you right down.
I've got short legs.
Yeah.
I genuinely have never, as an adult, had a pair of trousers that I haven't had to take up.
Yeah, but what you can do is cut that off and make a jacket. Let's have a quick look at the way they walk. The interesting thing is, as they're walking, their way of breathing, they're absorbing oxygen from seawater, which is sucked in through holes in the legs. It is actually quite inefficient, but in, for example, high oxygen freezing waters of the Antarctic, works well enough.
There doesn't seem to be much going for them, because you said even their way of getting the water in is not very effective. I
The
could
two
take
animals
them
you
all.
showed me, they're both a bit crap, isn't it?
You wouldn't want to be one of those.
No, I wouldn't want to be them or even look at them, really. Yeah, I prefer prefer a staff or something. That's just.
My favourite double S underwater animal, sea slugs, also known as nudibranchs.
Is that them?
Yes, I think they're rather marvellous. There's over 3,000 different species, and they have wonderful names like sea clown, shaggy mouse, the wet lemon, the white-spotted sea goddess, the hunchback Doris. The one on the right there is called the blue angel, and the next one along is the yellow nudibranch. Then you get Costacella, the green one, and finally the clown nudibranch. I think they're rather beautiful, don't you?
And they're the same thing.
There's over 3,000 different species. They're the same type of animal.
Can they breed with each other? Can like the blue angel mess with the?
No, you mean like taking a cocker spaniel and a poodle and making a dog? No, I don't think that would work out at all. What the blue angel can do, the one on the right, it can eat the stinging cells from Portuguese men of war and store the venom for its own use. And just touching one could result in a sting from it.
That's recycling, isn't it?
Check out this next one, the green sea slug. It is one of the only animals to get its food from photosynthesis, so exactly like plants. And it does it by consuming algae and then stealing its chloroplasts, that's the cell parts that are responsible for photosynthesis, and making them work for it instead. So honestly, it can eat simply by lying out in the sun.
Are you sure it's not just a leaf? It looks like a leaf to me, and you're just explaining a leaf.
This is the initiation on QI.
Things are rarely as they seem.
No.
How big's that then?
An inch or two. Yeah, so.
Alan was like 2 inches.
Yeah.
We're like, no.
Describe a new way snakes are found to get about. Yes, my darling.
Is it one of those motorised scooters?
I think they're...
That shouldn't be allowed on the pavement, if you ask me, Sandy.
Yes, that's at the age I've reached. I go, look at that, and if he hits me, he's not insured.
Too right.
Yes.
They are snakes, the people on them,
Yes.
I tell you that for free.
They have no lights. And
No light?
No lights, no manners.
Have you ever been on one?
No, is it...
No, I would love to go on one.
I ride them all the time. I ride them through the shopping centre with a gang of other kids. They'll start stealing through. Oh, we have a great time.
That's why I want to be friends with you. You make me look more modern.
Wow, cheers, mate.
They go, snakes go quickly if you pee on them.
I mean, you'd have to be confident, wouldn't you?
I'd say same with humans.
Yeah.
So I was in Yosemite, and I went quietly off a road to do a pee, and I went down the slope, and then I peed on a snake, and it came hairing out. Do they hair? And then I ran up the slope, and I was naked from here to my knees because I hadn't pulled everything back up, and there was a coachload of Japanese tourists. But yeah, it didn't like being peed on, because it almost looked like it went in a straight line. You know they normally do that.
Ah, well, they move in lots of different ways.
Well, it seemed like it went off like a...
It can do. It's called a rectilinear movement.
It's been ages since I had an erectolinear movement in Yosemite.
So there was an issue on the island of Guam with snakes, particularly the brown snake. And in 2016, the conservationists were having a look to see how they could prevent them getting to birds' nesting boxes. So they placed a camera next to a nest of mice at the top of an 8-inch wide metal pole in an enclosure that held 58 snakes, okay? And when they viewed the footage, and nobody knew this was a possibility, they saw a snake wind its tail around the pole, then hold on to the other end of the body to form a loop, and then inch its way up the pole. And it is called a lasso locomotion. Let's take a look. I have to say there are lots of different techniques for it.
It's like Stringfellows, isn't it?
Takes you back.
Speak for yourself, Sandy.
Well, I needed the work. But look at that.
You must like these, Jim. Are these good?
No, they're
What are
cool.
these?
I'm just curious. So I was just curious. I don't know if is that like a new evolution, or is that something they've done forever and we've just noticed now?
It's probably the fact that they've been doing it for a very long time. It's that we've only recently observed it. They now think this is the 5th way of moving. So typically there's the slithering, then there's what's called sidewinding, then there's concertina, and then rectilinear, and then this one now, the new lasso locomotion.
You get flying snakes, don't you? The reason I know this is because my son's a zookeeper, and I know about animals.
I've got a bit of news for you, Callie. Your son is taking the piss out.
Look out, man! Look out! It's a flying snake!
Yeah, they jump in lines. That's correct, yeah.
They just fall out of trees.
Yeah, well, maybe.
What animals is he a particular animal that he's interested in?
He's doing research on the slow loris.
Okay, which is
not quick.
I'm glad you've been paying attention.
It's the only venomous primate.
There it is, the slow loris. Oh, it looks so cute, doesn't it?
Sizing you up to kill
Yeah,
you.
just like a dwarf seahorse.
Like Josh.
It's like you without your glasses on, isn't it? That's
Yeah, well, I'd say the glasses isn't the only difference, but yeah.
That is cute, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all right.
You're a tough crowd for animals.
No, I love animals. I like snakes a lot. I remember when I grew up, there was always a guy on the estate who had snakes, and your mum never wanted you to hang out with him.
You sure there were snakes?
Because he was like a weird guy.
Well, the brown tree snake is a serious problem in Guam. They probably arrived on cargo or military ships during World War II, and it has decimated the bird population. It's wiped out 10 native species, and that in turn decimated the island's trees because they relied on the birds to spread the seeds, and new tree growth fell by 90% as the birds died out.
Why don't they bring like a mongoose and just let off a bunch of mongoose to then deal with the brown snakes?
Then you'll have a mongoose problem.
And then you bring something for the mongoose. You know what I'm saying? It's just a chain of events.
Then you
that
bring the
never end.
seahorse in and it takes out the mongoose.
What they do now, when they've got a pole with a nesting box on it, they put a cone. They put the narrowest point of the cone facing down like that.
Signs saying no.
No snakes. Yes. But if there's a wider part of the cone like that, the snake has to let go. It makes it fall off the pole. The good news is they're not especially good at lasso locomotion. It often takes them a couple of hours to just cover 10 feet, and they're a bit slow. They slip back down again.
Idiots.
Yeah. Oh, I've got another type of movement. This you're going to love. The Chihuahuan hook-nosed snake farts defensively when it is threatened. It's technically called cloacal popping. Okay. So they expel air from their cloaca. They have one hole for reproduction, for digestion, so it's all just one hole at the bottom. And it makes an audible noise, and sometimes they do it so aggressively, this farting, that it lifts them into the air.
Oh, wow.
I've dated people like that. It's awful.
Isn't that a skill? To be able to lift yourself up with your fart?
See? These are the animals I wanted to see.
Okay.
Is it true that, talking of a snake's genitals, is it true that a male snake has 2 penises, or peni? I just thought I'd throw that out
Which
there.
would you prefer, 2 heads or 2 penises?
2 penises.
Okay.
What about you, Janara?
2 penises.
2 penises.
But not next
Is that a thing?
Not next to one another.
I'd have one in the regular place and one on one hand, on my left hand.
Instead of a finger?
Instead of a finger. I'd always wear a glove. Why does he wear a glove? He's got a cock hand. I think I'd have 4 other fingers. I don't think I'd just have the cock.
No.
Pull the glove off.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to look weird, would you?
No. I think it would always be like that, or would it sometimes be like that?
It'll be like that.
Okay.
Awkward though, wouldn't it? When you couldn't stop your finger. Like an umpire.
I'm sorry I brought it up, Sam.
Whereas a second head, what is the point of that?
Well, you wouldn't be lonely. You'd
You
chat.
can talk amongst yourself.
Yeah.
Would we have different personalities?
Oh, imagine. Could be like one leave, one remain.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you'd have an anti-vaxxer on you. Oh, it's going to face your every move. It's all a hoax.
If you had 2 penises, if you did, it would be a pair of hemipenes.
Is there anyone that has more than 2?
Philip Schofield.
Right, moving on. What's the damn problem with salmon?
Is it that ageing rockers farm them, don't they? So like Roger Daltrey and the Ed and Jethro Tull does it.
Are they now salmon farmers?
Well, they've got they're fish farmers, yeah.
Really? So here's the thing about Atlantic salmon. They swim 6,000 miles to return to the waters where they were born in order that they can then spawn the next generation. And quite often dams block the path. And they have found a solution. It's called the salmon cannon. And it looks like so much fun. You'd want to be a salmon. Have a look at this. But look, there they are, shooting through.
No.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah, it's fun.
And then out, boom. I mean...
Wow, it's like when you get the bowling ball back, isn't it?
I love that. Fish-friendly pneumatic tubes, and they use changes in air pressure to move the fish along. They used to be, before they had the salmon cannons, fish ladders. Anybody ever seen a fish ladder? So the idea is the pools are on different levels so that the salmon can jump from one to another, and it's a bit like climbing a watery set of steps. I mean, the effectiveness of these ladders is questionable, although I have seen the salmon jumping, and it is a marvellous thing. But some species, like the American shad, only about 3% make it actually across, so they're not all that successful.
So that looks like it took a lot of time to make that fish ladder, and then it just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's a shame.
You feel a bit like, you know.
Yeah, but I love the idea of it. That salmon are amazing. They can trace their way hundreds of miles back upriver in order to find out where it was that they first spawned. Something else that travels a long way for sex is an eel. Does anybody know how eels have sex?
Is it one of those things where they do something and then smear something on something and then put it somewhere?
Wow. I mean...
Do you write Mills and Boon?
The answer is, we have no idea. We have absolutely no idea. It is one of the great mysteries of the world. They are incredibly secretive. And the mystery of it is what happens in the Sargasso Sea, which is a body of water in the Atlantic. It's believed that this is where both the European and the American eels breed, because it's the only place you find young larvae of both species. But nobody has ever found an eel egg there, or any adult eels, and no one has ever witnessed eel mating. It is just a mystery. And the other mystery is how the American and the European larvae all mixed in together know which one should go off to America and which one should go off to Europe. We just don't know how they find their way thousands of kilometers back many decades later in order to spawn in this one place. Sigmund Freud was fascinated by this. He once dissected 400 male eels looking for testicles, and we now know that they only grow gonads when they need to procreate, so it's in the last year of life.
A couple of hundred. Sigmund,
Yeah,
there's another box of
another
eels for
eel.
free.
On his deathbed in 1874, the German biologist Max Schultz said, all the important questions have been settled, except the eel problem. Anyway, what would you use a thunderstone for? You should have one beside you. This is a thunderstone. What do you think it is?
It looks a bit fossily, my one.
It is fossily?
It looks like a sourdough bread.
It does look a bit like a sourdough bread.
Right, that shows how middle class I've become. It's like sourdough bread. What happened to me?
Yeah,
You'd
did
be
you see Marley on QI going on about that?
Bro, I could never go back to where I came from.
Even the man who keeps snakes near you doesn't want to talk to you.
Don't go around his house, he's weird. That's the snake guy.
Fossilized sea urchins, they were thought by Scandinavians to have been forged from thunder and found when lightning had struck. And as people believed that lightning would never strike in the same place twice, you would keep one in your house to protect yourself. But it is in fact a fossilized sea urchin.
Cool.
And also, because it's Scandinavia, keep the trolls away, stop your horses getting nightmares, look after your milk, you put one on the shelf in the dairy to keep the milk fresh and so on.
Was the horse nightmare, was that a big thing?
The horse is so important to you, I suppose you just don't want anything to happen to it, do you not think?
It's a shame that the horse can't hunt in total silence.
Like a seahorse.
Like a seahorse.
Yeah.
Imagine they've got a cat. I mean, if they ate cats, and only cats, and no one could stop them.
Well, we can all dream, Alan.
You can't hear them.
The word in Norwegian for a sea urchin...
Out the cat. Well, there's a horse here. It can't be the horse.
The word for sea urchin in Norwegian is krokebollar. It literally translates as crows, bulls. Our word comes from the fact that urchin used to be a medieval word for a hedgehog. That's why we call them sea urchins. World's longest living animals, as far as we know. Some of them live to be up to 200. Here's an interesting thing. They use their spines to walk, as well as to scare off potential predators. And between the spines, they have stalks topped, this is quite frightening, with jaws that bite. Okay? They're called pedicellaria.
Just thinking about like where I need to go.
Because it looks as though they're entirely independent of the sea urchin. And there's one that can send a sort of defensive cloud out of hundreds of these. They're like tiny little jaws going like this, okay? And they have muscles and receptors that respond to stimulus, and they continue to bite and release venom even when they're no longer attached to the sea urchin's body. Don't you think that's terrifying?
Like an old man's dentures by the bed.
Exactly, just coming after you. It's like something out of a movie, isn't it? Being able to send jaws out to bite.
Would you like second cock or venomous fingers?
We've all heard about being as drunk as a skunk. But what happens when you're as drunk as a sheep?
Once when I was out running on a Cornish cliff top, there was a sheep and it had capsized and it was on its back and
they can't can't get up.
No, they can't get up.
Did you get it up?
Just went through its pockets.
It's to do with old descriptions of people being drunk. So there was a satirist called Thomas Nash, and in 1592 he published a pamphlet called Pierce Penniless, and it had 8 different kinds of drunkard. So here they are. Sheep drunk. What do you reckon?
So sheep, they're quite kind of
Following other
sleep,
people
maybe?
around,
Yeah.
a group of drunk.
Quiet.
Yeah, it's incoherent. It's when you simply can't remember what word it is you want to use. Yeah. Swine drunk.
That's a nasty drunk.
Yeah, you become belligerent.
Completely lazy, sort of heavy, lumpish. Ape drunk.
Climb in a tree, won't come down.
You know, there's ones people who leap about and sing and dance.
Oh,
There's always a drunk that you can't get out of the tree. Come down.
Lion drunk.
You get brave. Like,
Aggressive.
I'm not sure where to go.
that's the worst, I think.
Fox drunk.
sly.
Sneaky.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Crafty.
Untrustworthy.
Yeah.
Crafty.
Goes and eats chickens.
Yeah. Martin drunk is somebody who keeps on drinking.
Is this named after a particular Martin?
Yeah, he came up with 7 animals and he had a mate called Martin.
Shut up.
Let's be honest, he didn't care about the animal bit. The whole thing was so that he could do the Martin.
Yeah.
I'll show you,
Won't
Martin.
buy around. Martin drunk.
Yeah, in 170 years they'll be on TV taking the piss out of you, Martin.
What about goat drunk?
Eat anything. Some people will eat anything when they're drunk, and one of those is a goat.
Goat. It's lechery.
Is it? Goats are lecherous?
Yeah, apparently so. And what about maudlin drunk?
Maudlin.
Oh,
Yes,
well.
literally just maudlin. Yeah, absolutely.
I hit about 4 of those at different stages of the evening.
Depends.
So I'm ape early doors, I think. But by the end, I'm maudlin.
Gold
To be clear, I'm never
steel.
Nuts.
Good
Okay.
steel.
The English language has at least 3,000 words for being drunk. They include ram squaddled, tight as a tick, been too free with Sir Richard. Yeah, we don't really know what that is. It might be alliterative, it might be Richard Rum, for example. Or possibly it could be a phrase coined by the great Benjamin Franklin, a tribute to the Spectator publisher Sir Richard Steele, who famously liked to drink. Benjamin Franklin kept a dictionary of words for drunk. He had over 200 of them. He published it in the Pennsylvania Gazette in 1737. As
Fair more.
Drunk as a wheelbarrow, I quite like.
Oh, yeah.
Been to France. Been at war with his brains. Seen a flock of moons.
I like that one.
What is anybody got a favourite word for being one over the? One over
Dust
the-
Wallow Marsh.
Twatted.
Twatted.
Charged.
Charged. Oh, that's quite sweet then.
Charged.
Charged.
Yeah, it's Jamaican. Charged.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. What? I'm just trying to think what I say.
Wankered.
Squiffy. I've got
That's
no
old
time for
school.
squiffy.
Yeah.
I think that might be a West Country thing, but squiffy on snake bite. Do you think we got squiffy?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, snake bite. That's a good joke.
Oh,
What is
man.
that?
Basically, it's part cider, part beer, and blackcurrant juice, but it sends you mad.
Does it?
And they won't sell it to you, so when I go, I'll ask for it, and they go, well, we can't mix it, so I ask for it separately.
And then you mix it yourself?
Yeah, but then the person behind the bar goes, I know what you're doing with that.
Which of your friends is ordering the straight black currant?
Right, moving on. Which silent saboteur scuppered the Spanish Armada? It's an animal beginning with S.
Sheep, sausage dogs,
So Swamp of Sorrows and Dust Wallow Marsh.
Snail.
Ships. Something to do with ships.
Ship ticks?
Ship ticks.
Ship ticks.
What?
Like a tick, but on a ship. Ship tick.
Oh, I like that. Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of, in a funny sort of way. It's shipworm.
That's not a thing.
I'm not going to lie.
Swamp
I
of
was never
Woz.
going to get it.
No. It's woodworm of the sea. It's a type of mollusk. It's a kind of clam. It's not actually a worm really at all. And it loves to eat wooden ships. And it was partly responsible for the defeat of the Spanish Armada. Here is a picture, and they are amazing. Basically, there are a pair of very small shells at one end with which they can drill the passage, okay? And also, because you open them like this, they can stop the passage that they're drilling falling in on themselves. And the reason this is really important is that the great engineer Mark Brunel looked at shipworms and how they were working, and that is how he created the tunnelling device with which he made the very first tunnel under a navigable river under the Thames, and that was the ship.
Oh, see if I had paid attention a little better.
Do you not think that's amazing? But they infested all 4 ships on Columbus's 4th voyage. Drake's Golden Hind,
I'm out
Cape's
of range.
Endeavour, they all had hulls, frankly, like sponges. because of the shipworms, but they did help defeat the Spanish Armada because they weakened the
What's
structure
on
of the
your
larger
mind?
and more powerful Spanish ships and made them vulnerable to storms and to cannonballs and so on. And they're possibly more responsible for Spanish defeat than either the
See
Weather
you
or
soon.
the English Navy. Don't you think it's amazing to be an engineer and have a look at how a creature is working and think,
Very clever chap, Brunel.
I know.
What, not like Freud and those eels?
I know, he had no idea.
Nowhere.
Could not find a gonad for love and a month.
Brunel with
Brunel's
What
like,
are you
let me
doing?
deal with this.
You're not thinking this at all, are you? You're learning nothing from every dissection. Nothing. Stop. Walk away. Have another idea. Look at another creature.
Welcome.
But even today, they cause an estimated £1 billion worth of damage every year. I mean, in modern terms, they can be considered the great recyclers of the sea.
Watch
They
your
process
back.
a resource that most animals cannot eat, wood.
What do they eat if there's no wood, though?
No, that's it. That's their diet.
That's their whole diet.
That's the whole diet. And it was a problem for them when copper bottoms came into shipping, when they discovered that it was possible to kind of copper bottom the whole thing. I mean, the thing that there's an old copper bottoms boat.
That's my username on Tinder.
What?
Old
Copper bottom.
It's on her Tinder, old copper bottom. She's a ginger.
Worms are also eaten by some people in the Philippines. It's called tamilok. They marinate it with vinegar or lime juice, chopped chili peppers and onions.
I'll stick to that top bit, I reckon.
What do you think?
It's that green stuff.
Yeah, the green stay behind.
But even what they marinate with sounds nasty.
Didn't David Attenborough say we all should be or will be eating insects?
Oh, he says a lot of mad
He'll say
shit,
anything.
though,
I've been in.
God, he's always just saying something crazy and we're all gonna go, oh, well, that
Are
went
you
dark.
dissing David Attenborough? That's a bold move.
Hey, listen, I say what I say. if David Attenborough wants something, he knows where to find me.
Jamal's trying to win his audience back after sourdough game.
Yeah, I know.
David Attenborough spends all his time at home now caring for his snakes.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be disturbed.
No, leave me alone.
Someone bought Mobile Mage with cloth. Nice.
Go, Johnny.
They explode? Does that mean it was right?
No. Why do you think?
Because I heard it in a movie.
Yeah. Okay.
It's one of the best bits of Independence Day, isn't it?
Yeah, I heard it's something to do with like the where it fizzes and the acid in their stomach can't take it and it explodes.
Okay, it is not true, thankfully, I'm afraid. The idea is that the birds don't belch, and therefore the gas will increase in their stomachs until they can't take it. But the truth is that birds are experts at regurgitation, so they can easily remove anything in the stomach that is causing them discomfort. The stereotypical seagull is a herring gull, and they did very interesting research into them at Exeter University. They found they prefer to eat food that has been handled by humans. They've had 2 buckets with wrapped flapjacks, and one had been handled for 60 seconds by a person, and 79% of the girls chose the one that had been handled by human beings.
Maybe they like it a little bit warmed up, you know.
I think they just want to piss us off. So, anybody know how to recognise a black-headed gull?
Yeah. They haven't got a black head.
It's correct. You get an extra point, Josh.
That's never happened before.
In the summer, they have a dark brown head, and the rest of the year it's white. They don't have a black-headed gull at all, but you can tell by the colour of the head what season it is. I mean, you can tell as well by the weather, frankly.
The ironic thing is the one on the right looks like a seagull's crapped on its head.
What shape do bees make honeycombs into?
Hexagon.
Hexagon.
It was previously thought that bees built their honeycombs out of hexagons, and there's a lot of people thought, how have they done that? How have they made a perfect hexagon? How did
Well,
they
brownie.
Previously thought. I mean, what you can do is
A
actually
high,
look at it.
like chocolate brownie.
What they've actually done,
The famous honeycomb shape.
they create circular-shaped cells using their own bodies as a mold.
Yes.
And then those form a hexagonal shape by themselves, the same way that bubbles sit together in a bubble bath.
What kind of bees make milk? That's the important question.
Yeah. The point is, we thought that
Boobies.
Have you been home educating your kids? How is that going?
This is the tone of voice
They're not gonna get
of homeschooling in the Davis household.
Yeah.
Just do it, and then bring it to me. Try to do it. You haven't tried to do it. I can't read that.
So, for the the point is, Alan, that we thought that bees knew how to
Never
make
mind the point is, Alan, you know the hexagons, and you've shown some weird bee not actually in a honeycomb. Oh, this is a good picture when it's not a hexagon. Find a proper one. Your own time you're wasting.
Bees are one of the few insects that can survive a winter. How do they do that?
Stay indoors.
Central heating.
Kind of. Their own central heating, in a way.
Bundled together?
Yes, exactly right, madam.
Yeah?
Yes, you get an extra point. They stay warm by forming a ball of bees. It's about the size of a basketball, and it's around the queen. It's important to keep her warm, and it's got 2 layers. So the bees on the outside are
And then they
packed
come in.
tightly together and facing inwards. Yeah, and it's like a kind of quilt. So the ones on the inside can move around freely.
Penguins do that too, right?
Yeah.
But they all come together and then one goes on the outside and it,
That's
they
exactly right.
alternate.
Yeah, it's the same sort of thing. Now, how can you tell if your dog's happy to see you?
Oh, they're not.
They wag their tails, Handy.
Oh, dear.
And again. The evidence is widespread.
The tail wagging does not necessarily indicate happiness. It's a kind of communication. They are trying to signal submissiveness, for example. Inferior wolves would wag their tails when approaching superior ones. But if it was happiness, when the dog is alone, it would wag its tail if suddenly it saw some food or something, and they don't do that. It is a way of trying to communicate either with another dog or with the person. It's a bit like fidgeting. It can be excitement or it can be nerves.
How do we know? How do we know it doesn't
Wag its tail.
I mean, if a dog wags its tail
Yeah.
and no one's there to see it,
Yeah.
can't we really say it hasn't wagged its tail?
There's this new thing called cameras. How can you make your cat smile at you?
Oh, cats, don't start with cats. I used to have 2, and one would go to the top of the curtains, and the other one would rip the curtains down trying to get it. That sums them up.
Sums them up.
Marley, have you got cats or dogs?
I had a dog. Well, I only had a dog for like a week once because.
Wasn't it your dog?
Yeah, kind of.
can't do that.
So I had this bike, and then a guy said to me, "I want to buy the bike." He goes, "I'll trade you." And I go, what you got? And he goes, "I've got nunchucks." So I got the nunchucks, and I said, "You got to chuck in 20 quid." He went, "All right, cool." So I went home, and Mom's like, "Where's your bike?" I was like, I've only got nunchucks and 20 quid. And she's like, "Well, no, go back and get your bike." And I went back, and I was like, "I need my bike back." And he goes, "All right, but I'll give you this dog instead." And I went, "All right." So I took the dog back, and then someone's knocked at my house because that guy had stole the dog.
Oh, my word.
So I had to then give the dog back, but I got to keep the nunchuck, so it's a happy ending.
Sam, do you know what a nunchuck is?
What I do know is that Marley and I have very different lives.
That's the dog I had once.
Wow. Okay. How can you make your cat smile at you?
Can they smile?
Can they smile?
Smile, John?
Well, I've got 2 cats. They have never smiled.
Okay.
They haven't got like animated
It's
mouths,
something that
have they?
Callie said early on about snakes.
You rub both their penises in their ears.
You urinate on it. Yes.
Do you know what? I'm not going to check that. When I get home and I say to my wife, "Here's a trick for you.
Yeah.
Go and get the cat."
I thought you were going to say go and get the camera.
They can make an expression that looks like a smile, but it's actually something called a flamen response. It means to bare the upper teeth, and it means that they're analysing a smell, so a smell like urine, and drawing the scent particles into the roof of the mouth. If you weed on a cat, it would look like it was smiling. In fact, the best way to make your cat happy is to slowly blink at it. So,
While you're peeing, or just as
No, don't think you need to pee. They're more likely to approach if you have an outstretched hand indicating trust, but if you've been slow blinking at it, then they think that must be it.
But everyone else in your house is like, "We're going to call a doctor."
Yeah, I'm just going to put
Mum's
on the
slow
cat.
blinking and pissing on the cat.
You could learn many things from your puppy dog's tails. Speaking of which, what are little boys made of?
They were sugar and spice
Smells.
and all. Girls were sugar and spice and all things nice.
And boys?
Bad shit.
Bad
That's
shit.
it.
Cigarette smoke and petrol.
Cigarette smoke and petrol.
Slugs and snails and puppy dogs' tails.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But there have been lots of versions of the rhyme. So from the 1820s, it had snips and snails, snigs and snails, or snakes and snails. A snig is a young eel, And a snip is a sort of morsel of something, and then longer versions with old men made of slippers that flop on a bald-headed top. Women are reels and geels and old spinning wheels. The truth is, little boys and little girls are actually made mostly of water, like almost all other living things. I want you to put these pictures in order of which contains the most water.
Cucumber here.
Cucumber at number 1, we agree on that? Then what?
Yeah. What about slug?
Slug, we're going to go for slug number 2? Yeah,
I'd
then?
say a baby.
For number 3?
Yeah.
Okay, then?
I've always thought women are more watery than men. I've said it for years.
You can't say those things anymore.
Oh, I can't say that. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Am I going to be cancelled for that, am I?
Is that not a compliment then?
No.
No? Do you know, Callie, you're looking particularly watery today.
Number 4?
I'm going to say banana.
Banana, okay. Number 5? Woman. Number 6, the man.
Dry old man.
Let's have a look, see if you got it right.
Oh no!
Yeah, so...
You were reversed.
So a woman is made of 55% water and an adult male is 60% water.
Oh.
Yeah.
Losers! Ah, you're so dehydrated. Would you like a drink?
We've got water to spare.
I like that a baby falls between a slug and a banana. Can I just show you my favourite slug? The slender banana slug. It's a hermaphrodite, and that means that it can exchange sperm both ways during mating. After sex, one slug will sometimes chew its partner's penis off.
But then you'll still live?
Yes, because the idea is that the slug will not be able to mate as a male in the future, and therefore will allocate its resources to becoming a mother.
That's not a bad idea. I never... 2 kids in, and I didn't think of that.
Go on then. I enjoyed that. Chew it off. Yeah, let's go out on a high.
Would anybody, if you found a snail in your garden, would you throw it into the neighbour's garden?
Yeah, we had so many snails last summer. The gardener turned up.
The
and
gardener?
It's a middle-class story.
Yeah,
need a target.
No, what?
Spent all day chatting to the cook, doing no work.
He said he's never seen snails like it. Anyway, I wish I hadn't brought him up. He's not even a part of the story.
He is now.
Anyway, got this organic thing because I felt bad, but it said I put it down and it said the snail will eat. Don't worry, it's fine. Snails eat it and then they just burrow underground.
Right, and die.
Well, they didn't mention that, but I presume that's what happened.
Yeah, it's like a vegetarian's way of getting rid of it.
Yeah. Why don't you just put like, I was going to say salt, but Himalayan pink sea salt.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
It's more what you were...
Yeah.
I was going to say normal table salt. I know you... Why do you got there that? Josh, don't waste the salt. I have to, darling.
You'd have got the cook to do that. That's ridiculous. But they did a study of throwing snails, 416 snails. They threw them over a wall
No.
and then they were marked, then thrown again if they returned. And one
Safe
snail came
trap.
back 17 times. And that brings our safari to a slimy close. Let's take a swift look at the scores. In last place, moving at a snail's pace with -19, it's Alan.
Southwest 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Somebody's been attacked in my house.
Somebody's been what?
Attacked.
What's the address? They attacked who? Who was attacked? Someone get my fires.
Mel Pleskovic. Mel Pleskovic was attacked.
He was attacked by whom? Do you know?
She was... No, we just came home. She's on the kitchen floor. I took her son and my daughter outside. Her husband is inside with her now.
So the husband attacked her?
No. We just came home.
You came home and found her injured on the floor?
We found her in the kitchen. She's not moving.
Let me reintroduce myself. Detective Stoltz. Okay, so obviously you met at the home.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming here voluntarily, talking to me. You're free to leave at any point. Stop the question at any point. You're not in any trouble. You're not under arrest. I'm here just to try to piece together what happened at the house. Okay. If we could speed it along a little bit, I would like to go see my family. Yeah. best I can. Okay. Jeff, can you spell your last name for me one more time?
S-C-U-L-L-I-N. Do you think I could sit in that chair? It's a little big.
This one? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can switch it out.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Just push it back.
A little bigger. Switch my legs.
Cool.
No problem.
This is Jeffrey Scullins. Jeffrey is being interviewed.
It was that song, but I guess not.
Regarding the death of his fiance's
Thought
mother,
it was.
Linda Pleskovic. Linda's body was found with knife and gunshot wounds on the floor of her home. She shared
Oh,
her
her home.
family members. Most people that are interrogated by the police don't understand the law or don't.
I think what gets me a lot about voices when I hear stuff on YouTube is when I hear someone's voice and I know their voice is fake. Like you can tell that they're giving you a fake voice.
Machinima throughout the years has been attacked for its mass negligence of creators and legally unenforceable contracts. But hardly has anyone ever asked why. Why did one of the largest symbiotic elements of YouTube's creator success turn into its biggest parasite? A company that YouTube promoted and creators embraced was actually unmasked as a company embodiment of a trash fire. But even then, Machinima could spin this as a way of providing warmth to its creators. Creators who were inexperienced and ready to be burned. The answer is its sole business model of partnering creators to YouTube was undercut when YouTube started partnering creators themselves. In its death spiral, the dude bro startup culture hit its maximum. But even then, that was heightened by the pressure to sell the company and jump ship. This brought on its worst decisions and embarrassment by YouTube investing possibly millions into a company on borrowed time. Machinima's chaotic and incompetent nature did well to break FTC guidelines, take on various creator lawsuits, one of which was brought on by PewDiePie that Machinima likely didn't even know was part of their network. But I hate Machinima. Machinima even uploaded creator videos secretly to competing websites where they could pocket all the money to survive just long enough to be sold. They did anything to hit the bottom line before the flat line was hit, and in its wake, its massive library of videos and shared histories were wiped from the internet. But it wasn't always this way. To understand its failure, first its success must be understood. But before we get into the video, I'd like to thank Semper for sponsoring this video, who's these 3 fragrances and these 3 capsules. As for what Semper is, it's a subscription service where you can find your own fragrance profile. Whether you're a beginner or someone that knows a lot about these scents, you'll find your place here. And what I mean by your fragrance profile is you actually get to pick a designer fragrance every month for about $17 a month. That starts in 1999, which is dated about 6 years before YouTube even launched. Machinima, as it was then, was a fledgling art form where creators puppeteered video game characters and typically applied voiceover in pose to tell a story. Hello, and welcome to Grocery Box. Can I take your order? Machinima the website was a newly established host to many fan-made Machinima videos, as per the screenshot of it in March of 2000. On the bottom right of the webpage, proudly displaying ownership was Strange Company, a company based in Edinburgh, Scotland, directed by none other than Hugh Hancock. In tandem with other like-minded websites, Machinima grew a creator and viewer base throughout the years. But as typical for websites in this time, advertising and any other revenue sources did not come as easy. By the end of 2004, exhausted with the rising hosting and development fees upwards of $1,000 a month, they were approached by Philip and Alan Debevoise, who are partners, and offered to purchase the website while maintaining Hugh as a minority shareholder, 5% to be exact, of this newly established, well, at least newly incorporated as of October 2004, Machinima Inc. The most notable thing hinting at this change in ownership was again the copyright in the bottom right of the screen. It wasn't until the start of 2006 that Hancock posted about resigning as editor-in-chief to work on his own Machinima projects, and the changing of ownership was made widely public. This was accompanied by a Q&A a week later where questions were both directed at Hugh and Philip. Within there are two things of note, both answers from Philip that reveal the future of Machinima's success. Firstly, Philip accurately describes Machinima.com as a hub for its own content form. It is an aggregator. This is to say, while many Machinima producers have their own websites where they promote their own videos, popular series like Red vs. Blue were also released on Machinima.com.
Glad I could
found were more advertisements to help keep up with the hosting fees, which leads to the second bit of information in that Philip is looking to support and work with producers/creators who are looking to make a career in Machinima and are interested in developing original Machinima content. This is at the center of everything, because very few Machinima animators or even content creators were making any money at all.
Time is money, friend!
Many were just creating videos as a hobby. But the idea of being paid for an online hobby was absurd to the general populace as it was for its unfeasibility. To make this work on a larger scale, there are two things still missing. Machinima.com lacks a large audience. One big enough to support an even larger roster of dedicated creators. The other that goes hand in hand with the first issue are the hosting fees. Machinima could theoretically take on more creators and have viewers decide on an even larger scale which creators are worth paying for their work. This is where the newly established and rising in popularity YouTube.com comes into play. A website without a theme. The only theme was post videos. Anyone was allowed to upload and have their videos hosted for free. And while it was hardly a unique model, as other websites existed with similar philosophies, YouTube actually had the funding to back it up. From one perspective, this was a threat to Machinima, as individual creators could now have their own videos on there, diverting attention from Machinima.com. But it was also an opportunity. Machinima could still be an aggregator and have their videos hosted for free with access to an even larger audience, which is why in January 16, 2006, the Machinima YouTube channel was created. It seems that videos were not uploaded on there until sometime around mid-2007. And when they were, Machinima